Looks like we're live, yeah.
Hello and welcome. My name is Moriarty, and today I have with me the Golden Bolt.
Hello, everybody.
Oh my God, he's here!
It's me. Hi.
And we are going to be watching some videos and hanging out. So hello, everybody. Let's see, who do we have in here that I recognize? We got Courtney. Hello, Court. My Quest Log. Hello. Peculiar Pine Tree Plays. Wow, that's really hard to say. Peculiar Pine Tree Plays.
Hope you have a good pop filter for that.
Peculiar Pine Tree Plays. We've got Avinox, Token Geek, and Was the Cat PC Game Reviews. Which, hello, one.
Good crew so far.
And all. Today is the 7th anniversary of NewTubers. That's why we're here. And we've actually only been in charge of NewTubers for 3.25 years, I guess now.
Yeah, just over 3.
Yeah.
It's been a good 3 years.
Good 3 years, yes. And I came in a month after Bolt took over everything.
Yeah, so I took over NewTubers in May of 2016. I had just started my channel in March, and like everybody who starts a YouTube channel, they immediately think, well, where do I go to promote my videos? That's the first thing people like to think. And so I started looking for places to promote on Reddit, and I found NewTubers and the whole community. You can go back. I think there's an archive link in the anniversary post that Moriarty posted on the subreddit and on Discord and all that. You can see what NewTubers looked like back then, and it was just a dump. It's where we got the idea of the phrase link dump, because there were every hour hundreds of posts from people promoting their videos. All these posts had one upvote at best. Some people would go in and downvote one another to try and get their video shown more to the top page. And I saw this, and at first I was like, okay, it's a little weird, but maybe I'll only post here, see what happens. So I posted once, and nothing happened. I posted again, but this time, this was a couple weeks later, after posting, I went through and looked at a few other videos because I figured, well, maybe I can give my 2 cents and then they'll pay it forward, and we'll just be able to start people helping one another. It kind of worked a little bit. So around the third time that I posted, I contacted the original creator of NewTubers, Slice of Chalk. This is a username on Reddit. He hadn't been really using it for a while. It was just kind of there. So I said, hey, I think we can really make something of this community. And he gave me a shot. I don't know what motivated him to, other than just the random message. But he let me take over the subreddit. And that's kind of where we started making all the changes that we did.
And we have made a lot of changes, too.
Yeah.
I have a link in the subreddit. I'm going to go find it real quick.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
If you have it, that's great.
I can pull it up, yeah.
And it is what it looked like, I think 1 month before we took over.
Yeah, somewhere around then. Because I took over mid-May was where I took over.
Yes. Beautiful, wonderful times.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first started, and because you came in and you took over, and the first thing that Bolt said was, no more plugs. You can't just drop your stuff, right?
And everyone was on board at first. That was the thing, is everyone thinks that they're on board with the idea of, hey, no self-promotion, because that's not going to help any of us. Everyone was on board within that community at the time. And back then we were only at about 5,000 to 6,000 subscribers on the subreddit.
I think it was 52, yeah, 55.
Somewhere thereabouts. So 90,000 subscribers ago, and everyone was on board for people that were still posting there, that were still subscribed and communicating with us. And then I incorporated those rules, and everyone hated me, and it was fun.
Instantly, overnight. Yeah, you were a Nazi.
Within a moment. Let me post it.
It was beautiful. And
This
yes,
should be
Flirty.
the archive.
Flirty.
Oh, yeah, I can't post it because I'm not a mod. You have to
Are you
mod
sure?
me on our... Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I'll post it in the Discord. Hold on.
hold on. Say something so you show up for me.
Hello. Hi.
No, like in the chat. You gotta type in the
Oh,
chat.
hello. You said say something. I'm sorry. We're professionals.
There we go. Now you're a moderator. Yeah,
There we go.
so we
Now you'll see it.
We took over there. You can click there. You'll see what it looked like 4 years ago. And
yeah,
then he came in. He said no more link dumps. Everybody hated him overnight. But that's when the most active people started to show up, like myself. And
yeah,
I immediately was like, oh boy, this might actually work out. I'm going to go ahead and start a Discord so that I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the Discord, and I can't just be ousted by somebody.
Good self-preservation.
It'll make me look really good to this Bolt guy that nobody knows who he is, but he's Reddit moderator, so he's got to be powerful and important. So I made the Discord, and then we had Scaldera join first. And then and then Virus joined second, and then I think it was you, Bolt. And then I said, well, I could give it to you, but it's very confusing. If you want this Discord thing, it's very confusing. But I'm happy.
And this was my first use of Discord. Like, I knew it existed, but I was like, whatever, I don't really need it.
Very
and
first
so I was like, this guy seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. It's fine. I'll let him keep it for now. And if I need to remove it, I'll take over.
Yeah. So then he gave it to me permanently. He said, you take it and just, we'll share power. And then I was like, well, you want some help on the Reddit? Boom. Partnership is there. And that's how all of this started.
It literally was just 2 people that took initiative. That's all it was.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say 2 people. That's not fair. More than 2 people, but
at first,
the 2 that are here that really pushed forward and just made things happen. And then once people saw that initiative, I think they started taking their own.
Yes.
For example, there were a lot of daily threads where, for example, Wes was one of our longtime moderators, still an active member of the community, still working on his channel and really growing himself. And he's a great dude. But he would do these daily threads and just kind of like really long, rambly posts. I don't even know if I can find one. But they were just like talk within the community, like, hey, here's random topic of the day that I want to talk about. What do you guys think about that? And people would just contribute and interact, and it was all nice. And that's kind of what indirectly inspired a lot of our weekly discussion threads that you see the auto moderator post on Reddit.
A lot of those actually came directly from Wes and a couple others who were around at the time. That's where we get our Motivational Monday stuff. I think that is Wes's, was Motivational Monday. And then the Self-Introduced Saturday started out as what was it?
It was Self-Promote
Saturday.
Yep,
yes. Because
that was at the point where people were still trying to get around our no self-promotion rules. People still try. They think we don't notice. We do. It's just a matter of now there's a lot more people, so it's harder for all of the moderator team to catch them all. And so people were trying to get around it back then, and we were like, you know what if we just kind of funnel all of the self-promotion into one thread that nobody's going to look at. I'm peeling behind the curtain here because nobody really looks at those threads. And so people would self-promote and nobody would interact. We tried to make it part of our old critique rules, and it went pretty well for a while. It got rid of most of our self-promotion pretty much overnight.
Yep.
And then Self-Introduced Saturday took over it because we were like, well, not everyone's, like, people realize that self-promoting isn't the answer anymore. So we kind of pumped that out of the way.
Yeah. So we went from the self-promote to self-introduce to kind of get rid of that bad habit of just dumping your link and not worrying about it anymore. Because quite frankly, as YouTube goes, if you get into the habit on Reddit and other places like Twitter and Facebook of just throwing your link at people, you're going to get absolutely nowhere. Almost everybody who has 200, 300,000 subscribers or more has some history of promoting on Reddit and on Twitter and things like that, at the beginning especially, they get really into this, hey, take a look at this thing I'm doing. I could really use your views, but I'm going to act like I'm part of the community thing. We all know it. We all do it. But if you get into this habit of being just, hey, here's a link, look at me, look at me, look at me, you're going to go absolutely nowhere. So we wanted to kind of move past that with the self-introduce Saturday.
There was another facet to that as well, which was at the time that I took over NewTubers, to go back again, there was a rule on Reddit that was community-wide that was called the 9-to-1 rule, which was that for every post that you did that was self-promoting your content, be it an image or a video or a live stream or anything like that, you would have to you'd have to post 9 other things that aren't self-promotion, so that only 10% of your posts were self-promotion at best. And you could be, you still can be, technically not as much, shadow banned from Reddit, so that all of your posts do post. You don't know that you're banned, but none of your posts will show up to anybody else. And I swear, half of the people on NewTubers when we first took over were shadow banned. Like, there was a huge, huge amount of people that were posting self-promotion, and when you clicked on their account, it would say, like, no user found. So I would go in and I would manually message all these people and say, hey, you have to contact the Reddit admins and let them know that you're shadow banned, so that they can decide whether or not they want to unban you. Usually they did. They don't really care.
Yeah.
That's since been removed as a rule on Reddit itself, because the admins didn't want to go through all that hassle, and they realized
It promoted a lot of spam too.
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to promote my stuff, if I want to throw out my link, and that's all I really care about, then I'm going to go post 9 GIFs, and I'm going to go post, 9 memes that I don't care if they've been posted or not before. I'm going to go post a shower thought that says, I can't believe that fish don't breathe air, but they do through water. Nobody's going to upvote it. It doesn't matter.
But it's there.
It's there. It gets me through that 9-to-1 rule, which you still see, by the way, and that's where that comes from in a lot of these subreddit communities, like our videos and our gaming and all that, where they still have the 9-to-1 rule. That is old school.
Yeah, that was the start of that, and I think Crap My Dad Makes Me Watch. I like the channel name there. He said the same thing, that it promotes spam. So good comment there.
Mm-hmm. So what we're doing today, you now know a little bit more about the history of NewTubers and where we came from. We have grown almost 20 times since we came in and kind of took over the subreddit there. We're now at 95,000 subscribers. We run 5 subreddits, 2 of which we opened yesterday, so whatever, but we still we run 5 subreddits now.
Gotta pump up our numbers,
right? I mean, we've got 95,000 on one, we've got 2,000 on another, 1,500 on another, so like they're not itty-bitty subreddits by any means. And in the community that we're in, the community of creators, we basically are the largest and the most active. I mean, you've got some others out there. There's a couple that have shown up in the past, I want to say, year, that are kind of link dumpy, and they're not really a community, as it were. There's been a couple of attempts to kind of bring that back into it, but it's still what it is, And there's a couple of communities that went way too hard and tried to really limit who comes in there, pump up the quality, as it were. And when you only have 3 people who meet your standards, suddenly you don't have anybody on your subreddit anymore.
Yeah. We've when we took over NewTubers and started the current mod team that runs the community, there were a lot of other communities at the time. And most of them have either disappeared, or they are like friendly, like cousin sister subreddits kind of to us, where if you want to talk specifically about a thing, we might say, hey, r/YouTubers has this very good thread on that, or they might send people to us, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But
that didn't exist at the time. There was nobody leading the industry. As it were, there was no leading group. And I'm really, really proud to say that through all of the work of literally dozens of people in the staff, and the thousands of people who are active every single day, I feel NewTubers has definitely become the main leading force in the crowdfunded help, groups,
Yeah, and not this should probably be the end of us patting ourselves on the back here. the one thing that I really wanted to do when we took over this community was I wanted to make it easier for the person that came after me that's doing YouTube to figure out what the hell it is they have to do. Because I mean, I only started again 3 years ago and change, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to mix my audio. I didn't know how to set up my camera. I didn't know lighting. I barely knew video editing from a previous channel. All these things. I didn't know how to deliver my voice in such a way that sounds interesting and compelling. And you could argue that I still don't, and that's fine. But I would like to think that so far we've made it a good amount easier to learn how to do YouTube or Twitch or podcasting or content creation or anything of the sort, and that's really awesome.
I agree. So let's kick this off. We're going to spend a little bit of time looking at some videos, critiquing them as a group. We're also going to answer some questions on the Reddit in here and just kind of have a good time, hang out, and hopefully you guys will learn a little bit about content creation. And if you have any questions, get them ready to go, whatever, so that you can send them to us in the chat, and we'll answer them live for you and give you a little bit of help there. First off, though, what we want to do is take a look at somebody's video and kind of give it a little overall critique, look at the channel maybe a little bit, but really we want a video. So if you have a video that is 5-ish minutes or so, and you can go ahead and give us a very brief synopsis of what it is. So here's my video on fish, and it's all about how they are swimming. They just don't know it. And then give us a link, and we'll take a look at that.
Put the link separately because it'll probably not post, so we might have to, yeah, that might be a problem.
Really?
In the chat, if you post a link, it might not.
Oh, that's right. Well, just
that's
put
an
the
oversight.
Yeah, that's fine. Just put the thing, and we'll figure it out. We've got some mods in there. They should be the ones doing this, right?
Yeah.
Can't believe it's me who's being forced to handle this. Can I change that?
I think you can. Because I think it's YouTube auto-removing it right now.
Probably. I can't even see it. Let's see.
Little technical difficulties here on NewTubers. Everyone has them. So it's okay. We are very professional, clearly.
I mean, you can still go through these kind of problems that you have and, you know, talk and figure it out while you're fixing them. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the old standby of every YouTuber and Google it.
If someone wants to just like in the chat, like kind of just talk about that video, I can find it on your channel also. That would be pretty easy. Questlog says my video is about failing to hit my New Year's resolutions and how I'm gonna try to make the most of the rest of the year by treating my goals as quests. I like that one.
Sure, let's do that.
Let me go to that channel and I will find that link. I'm assuming that's your most recent video. I think you said that.
I like it. There you go. You can always send them to Courtney in the Discord.
Oh, that'll work. True.
And she can get it to us. But we'll let Bolt do a little bit of work for once.
Appreciate that kind of tone. Okay, I posted it in our little call, and I'm going to post it here in the chat as well.
No,
that is Questlog's video.
But you could just put it into the Watch Together.
Oh, am I allowed to do that on the Watch Together?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
By the way, we are using Watch Together. And that is how we're achieving this incredible, wonderful goal. There we go, see? Boom. And it should be popping up now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. You guys are going to be able to see it live with us. How exciting is that? I said, how exciting is that?
It's very exciting.
Wow, maybe a little bit too much there, guy. All right, so we have Questlog, mid-year resolutions, and reviving the vlog, a 2-minute video. Now, I can tell you right away that there's a couple of good things, right? We've got some good lighting.
That was the first thing I was going to say is really good lighting.
A good camera angle. He's looking at the camera. I don't know if you know this, for vloggers especially. A lot of them really, really enjoy looking at themselves in the viewfinder.
Yeah, it's a hard skill to get over, to learn.
Terrible. And they all do it when they start especially, but It's something that you'll continue to see. If you're watching a professional vlogger, you'll see them doing the looking into the thing, and you get it. You have to do it occasionally, make sure you're in frame and all that kind of stuff. But you want to do it as little as possible so that you can make a connection with the viewer. So this is already good. Let's go ahead and see what he's got going on here, and then we'll stop it if we need to and talk.
We're halfway through the year now, and I've spent the last 6 months essentially spinning in circles, not really making much progress toward my goals or my quests, as I like to call them. Maybe I'll show up at the gym every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm just kind of pressing the snooze button on life. And if this sounds familiar, it's because 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by February. And I was definitely part of that statistic. So I decided to take a little time and figure out exactly what went wrong. There were two main areas that I came up with. And the first is that I didn't have complete clarity on exactly what I wanted. And second was that I didn't have a clear game plan or path to get there. So today is all about figuring those things out. Here's the game plan. Figure out where I'm at, where I want to be, and what steps it's going to take to get there. I've set aside the next 3 hours with no social media, texting, calling, emails, none of that. Just focus on what do I want for the next 6 months of my life.
So one thing I was going to say, I wanted to wait until the cut to get there, was actually it looks like he answered it kind of, is that you don't necessarily need background music in videos, but it certainly helps, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, Moriarty, because you don't do camera stuff, but
No, but background music is in every single video I've ever done.
yeah,
Except for the worst ones. And that is very, very purposeful. I actually think that music is something that is underappreciated with regards to the level of quality that it can bring you as a creator. If you add music, even if it's just the basic music from the YouTube audio library, or if you have background sounds from a game or whatever, that really does help a lot. Otherwise, it just kind of sounds like you're talking in an empty space, and people don't really identify with that very well.
And on top of that, I think it's also worth noting that background music can really help cover up any audio issues you may have when you're starting out. So even still to this day, I have times where I have a line that I'm not super satisfied with either the delivery, or maybe it's raining and the rain's hitting my AC and the mic's just picking up just a little bit of that, and the noise reduce didn't do enough to really fix it. Having that background noise can help cover up any imperfections in your voiceover delivery, or in like when you do a sharp inhale. So normally I had a problem with this for a long time, is when I would deliver my voiceover lines, and obviously Questlog isn't, I don't think, reading this from a script. It sounds like it's more genuine. I read from scripts. So I would read a line, yada, 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 and continue. And I know Questlog did that once in the video so far.
Yeah, and music will help cover that up.
Yeah, like it'll be there, but it'll still feel a little bit more natural, especially when you're delivering. You're probably a little more nervous when you're starting out. You're not as sure of yourself. So that sharp inhale can sort of highlight that in your mind or in the mind of your audience.
And keep in mind, that's not just for people who are doing live or recorded content, video on demand. It's also really good for streamers, people who are doing any sort of streaming content. Because, for example, during this stream right now, I have an air conditioner on, and I've been playing music while we haven't been watching a video. And hopefully the air conditioner has been mostly drowned out by the fact that there is some light, quiet music. But right now, I'm sure that if I were to go quiet, you would hear it very, very well, because there is nothing going on. It's in the background. It's a hum. That's not a good sound to have there. It's I don't know if I would call it disconcerting, but it's definitely something that people don't like to hear. And if you're able to cover that up and make it go away with just some light music, why would you not do that?
Absolutely. And I mean, even for me, that's the same thing. I mean, we're both in 90+ degree weather right now in the heat wave that's hitting the East Coast. And my AC is on. Actually, I just had to replace my AC today. That's a fun little side story that not really worth talking about. But you would hear my AC as well if not for Discord covering up.
That's a fun little story. It's not worth hearing about.
It wasn't fun at all. I just got very wet and dirty from the AC.
Oh, all right. So let's see the last 60 seconds of Questlog's log of his quest, I guess.
Can we hold on? Can we jump back on this a little bit? I want to do one thing here.
Yeah, go ahead, jump back. However far
jump
you
back.
want.
Social media, texting,
Just
calling,
drag it back wherever you want.
emails,
Wherever you want to
people
go.
at-
We can go back.
Exactly. Here's what do I want?
Where do you want? You got to tell me where you want.
I already. It
Things
already.
out.
Thanks.
Here's the game plan.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. That was very pleasant. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right. I wanted to see how the audio mixing is between the voiceover and the sound here.
Excellent.
And figure out where I'm at, where I want
think
to
we're a
be,
little-
and what steps is 6 months of my
Oops, lost it. Still didn't hear it. Damn it.
with no social media, texting, calling, emails, none of that. Just focus on what do I want for the next 6 months of my life.
Okay, so the mixing came out okay. I think there's a little bit of a bump. Like it sounds like the music volume is a little bit higher than your voiceover volume. And that's something you also want to keep in mind, is that no matter what you're doing with any sort of YouTube or Twitch for that matter, you want all of your noise to be somewhere near the same peak volume. And I'm not an audio engineer, so I'm sure if there's an audio engineer in the chat, they can say this in a much more technical way than I can. But usually what I'll do is I will make sure that between my live audio and then my pre-recorded voiceover script audio, I will have them cap out somewhere around like -4 decibels in your video editor or in your audio editor. That way you can kind of bump everything up or down as you need from there, and you can tweak your master volume to make sure that, say, you can bring that down through normalization in, say, if you have Audacity. I'm sure most of us here are using Audacity. That way you can keep your highs about the same level as your lows, so that even if you want to yell, it's not going to blow out the speakers or the earbuds and make someone not want to watch anymore. Bad audio quality and bad audio mixing, I would argue, is the first thing that will turn somebody off of a video.
I would argue it's the first, second, and third thing, quite frankly. I've watched plenty of videos. In fact, you're watching one right now on this particular channel. There's some 20-something people in here watching a basically still frame. So audio is more important to a lot of people. And if you've got good audio and bad video, trust me, people will watch. They'll watch your grainy, pixelated gameplay of Fortnite, but if they can't hear you clearly and the sound is all muffled and awful sound, they are not going to watch. If the music is louder than the words, they're not going to watch. If it's really, really hollow sounding because you've over audacity'd your scripted thing, if you've cut out every single breath and every single to the point where you sound like you're just talking in clip, like that's going to turn people off too. So all of that absolutely matters.
Yeah. And so far here, the mixing seems mostly fine, but there's a little bit of a bump when you listen in, that you can hear the voiceover, and then it kind of gets a little bit louder when you go into the music. And that's not a huge deal, but it could turn some people away.
Yeah, and we're going to bring it right back to there again so you can hear this, and then we'll continue from there.
Months of my life.
Music bed.
All right, so I just spent the last 3 hours writing down exactly what it is that I want from the next 6 months. And it boils down to 3 main epic quests. The first one is that I want to make an app, an idea that I've had for a long time. Second one is I want to improve in guitar. And the third one is that I want to run a half marathon. Granted, these are seemingly ambitious, but I've broken them down week by week into smaller steps, mini quests that I can achieve over a small amount of time. Stick with me because great things are coming. Hit the subscribe button below and keep an eye out for future episodes. Farewell for now.
And again, it gets pretty loud right at the end there.
Yeah, that
that
dubstep ending.
Also, the dubstep ending.
The dubstep ending. So there's
probably use a little work there.
There's two things that I do want to bring up here. One is a windscreen is not a pop filter. So you have a windscreen on, it looked like a Blue Yeti, which is great. But a windscreen, that's the big puffy thing. Let me see if I can bring it up. That's down here at the bottom.
Actually, that's not a windscreen.
even a
That's just the Yeti.
Just the Yeti. So it looked like you had a windscreen. You don't actually have a windscreen, but if you did have a windscreen, it would still sound exactly the same because a windscreen is there to block wind.
It's mainly for outside filming.
For outside filming with wind.
Remove the actual wind noise, and that's how you get good, higher production audio coming from, like, say, when you're watching the news.
Yeah. They'll also have what are called dead cats. Actual industry term, which are big fluffy things. So there's no pop filter there. There's not even a windscreen, but you got to do something because you can hear it during this monologue that you're doing here at the end. You're saying that you're going to go and you've got all of your plosives going on, so you're all of that is
like I can probably right now remove my windscreen and you could hear my plosives a little bit better.
Yeah. So let me play it again here and just listen for that. Right as we come off of your montage, you'll hear it again.
Writing down exactly what it is that I want from the next 6 months. And it boils down to 3 main epic quests. The first one is that I want to make an app, an idea that I've had for a long time.
So that's a really good one right there.
Yeah. I moved my windscreen, or my pop filter, excuse me. So you can hear me say things like, I think he said, I want to make an app. You hear, I'm not sure how my mic's going to do it because I've never not had a pop filter on this microphone.
Oh, please stop, please. It's too much. It's
so
awful.
You can see right there. Now, if I move my windscreen back, I'm sorry if you hear any background noise. My pop filter, damn it. You know what I mean? If I say I'm going to make an app,
it's completely different. And you can definitely hear that here.
Second one is I want to improve in guitar. And
then he says it again with improve. So the plosives are a really easy thing to fix. They really are. And you can do this for anywhere from $1 to $15 to $20, depending on how much quality you want.
With the Yeti in particular, I was going to say, the Yeti has its specific own pop filter because of the way the stupid bass is designed on the Yeti. You can get a $5 Amazon pop filter and like rig it to stay up a certain way. I did it for the first 2 years of my channel, and it'll work just fine. But I would probably suggest just fork the extra money over it. You bought a Yeti, you'd rather just have it stay there because mine would swing off all the time, and it just was not fun.
Yeah, and you can get them again for anywhere from $1 to $15. You could use actually if you have a girlfriend, a wife, or you own them yourself, you could use some nylons.
And Jack Alpha System even just asked, doesn't an old sock work as a pop filter?
An old sock is going to work more as a windscreen because you're putting it over the microphone. You need to have a good 2 to 3 inches of space in between you and the microphone in order to stop the wind. And that's also why you want to make sure you're getting a double filtered one, at least. They will be 2 separate pieces of fabric. And what they do is by having them close together, but with a space, they will stop the vibrations of the wind going through and hitting your microphone, which is what the plosive really is. That is wind that you're... If you put your hand in front of your mouth and you start to talk, if you're feeling your breath on your hand and it's 3 inches in front of your face, that is something that's going to be hitting your microphone and making a sound. If you're having that, then you need a pop filter.
Another thing, while we're talking about mic distance and everything, a good rule of thumb that a lot of people go with is that if you hold your hand all the way out, like extend your thumb and your pinky as far apart as they can go, somewhere thereabout, if you deliver from there, you're less likely to have those plosives really hit as hard as they do. So if you don't want to lean, really far into the mic and get like that deeper, like bassier voice that I have now, because even with a pop filter, I might still pop if I'm that close. And that's the closer you lean into the mic, the bassier you'll probably get, depending on, this is all going to depend on the mic itself, the quality, how that mic works and everything. But somewhere around 6 inches, the distance of your hand is a good way to go for delivering clean audio that's not too bassy. And for most mics, that's going to work just fine. And then you can kind of get an idea from there of what your mic works best with, if you really need to lean in closer, or if you can come further back and not have a loss of quality.
So thank you very much, Questlog. I think you've helped us cover some of the technical stuff about especially vlogging. There is no, I see Ragnarok real quick.
Yeah,
no, there is no difference between a $5 filter and a $15 filter or a $25 filter. The only difference is going to be the way that it connects. So if you've got a very cheap filter, it may have a very cheap, I don't know what you'd call it, piece of hardware that would connect to something. So you might not want that. Apparently, they'd like to hear the dubstep, so we'll go ahead and show.
Okay.
And his animated logo, so we'll do that.
Another thing you may also want to consider, you don't have to do it on a small video necessarily, but for most videos, you do want to have a short end screen to use those end cards that YouTube lets you have. So you could promote, say, any other video that you want. What is that noise? What are you doing? You playing a video still? Did it autoplay? I don't know what that was. Anyway, having a short 5 to 10 second end screen, doesn't have to be the full 20 seconds. That's really up to you. Will help you push the following video. Say that video goes viral. What's your follow-up to that? I know I've had a couple videos that have gone viral and I had nothing prepared. One major video, I should say. I had nothing prepared in that same style as that video. So I could have had a much larger boom period because of a good end screen link and a good promotion of a follow-up video of some sort. And I know, Moriarty, you've had similar, where you've had videos that have done extremely well, and then you just didn't have that sort of video ready. Like, you didn't have a sequel to it of some sort.
Yes, I have no idea. I'm sorry. I was trying to fix the way that we're bringing in images here, or I'm sorry, videos here. So say that again for me.
What I was saying was, along with someone who's going to be joining up later, I believe, I had a video at the start of this year that blew up, and I had nothing ready as a follow-up. So even though I had the end screens that I was talking about a moment ago, that audience that came in and watched that video was less likely to stick around because I had nothing in that same style to give them right away.
Yeah, and to be fair, when he says blow up, he doesn't mean a light blow up. He's very much talking about 200, 300,000 views. It was a massive success for his channel. And when that happened, he did not have anything ready to go, and arguably didn't see as much success as he
100%
should have.
And we just had this same thing. I'm gonna talk about it now rather than see if he's gonna come in. Token Geek, who's in the chat, his video just last week gained 100,000 views in a week. He did a video on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it was a really good video. And it had oh, he's coming in now. Here he is. Hi, everybody. Go ahead. Talk about your video, Token.
I'm sorry, I heard my name, so I just jumped in.
What I was talking about, having videos ready as a follow-up to a viral push that your channel gets.
Oh, absolutely. It's like totally necessary, and even having not even as follow-up videos, but including those iCards.
Yes.
It was insane. I saw one of my videos a few weeks prior actually gain like 2,000 views. No, 3,000 views. Just kind of over.
Oop. Did I cut out, or is that me?
I think you
Oh,
cut out.
no, you're fine. You cut out.
I cut out?
Oh, yeah, you definitely cut out. Maybe you should speak into your microphone.
I'm speaking into my... hello? It gained like 3,000 views just overnight.
Yeah, that was it was awesome to watch because we were trying to help get Token to the monetization threshold. He was very close, and we were trying to promote his videos in our friend group and really get him to that point. And that video just happened to explode, and he's had other Super Smash Bros. Videos that he could promote there. He's had other videos on Nintendo content that were ready. Yeah. And that absolutely helped. I mean, he's doubled his subscriber count. He was at just over 1,000. Yep, so congratulations.
Thank you.
But for me, for my example, I gained about 700 subscribers and 150,000 views and front paged YouTube just about overnight. And I didn't have this video that I made was also kind of related to Super Smash Bros. Actually, funnily enough. And it was a documentary styled video. I normally do like more game reviewy sort of content, but I had been planning to move more towards that documentary style. But the video just happened to blow up before I got anything else out. So because of that, I lost out on what could have been a few thousand more subscribers, maybe, if I had something else that could have pushed those audience members to tune into something else. So a big piece of advice that I can give, and something that I've been really giving to everybody that I've been working with lately, is have 2 of every video at very least.
Yeah, don't just have one. I mean, obviously you can't help it. If it's the first video you put out and you go viral like this Janelle chick, who has gained 1.1 million subscribers off of her very first video, by the way.
Sorry, who?
I can't remember, Janelle something. She has exploded on YouTube, put out her first video, instantly 1.1 million subs in a day. Insane. First timer. It's crazy.
I thought YouTube hated smaller creators. She had nothing.
Had nothing. Yeah. Just got lucky. And I would love to turn up Token everybody who's saying that, but he's at 200%. It's him. He's quiet. So yes.
I just turned myself up. Let's see how that is.
That's a little better.
There is a need to have that if you want to continue your success, if you want to continue to see that kind of success. Obviously, this particular girl that exploded, she's got 1 million subs now. No matter what she does, she can always get viewers in. On top of that, you'll see a couple other, they're called unicorns, like Girlfriend Reviews, who 300,000 subscribers in her first week.
And that was also, funnily enough, going back to Reddit, that was off the back of Reddit, just about. Like, that video did well on Reddit, and then did well on Twitter, and then did well on Facebook, and it just, people that were talking about that video, it was just a good idea at the good time, and it just worked. And it was all because of a viral push everywhere, not just on YouTube.
Yeah, it's smart marketing for what is essentially a very standard video game review. And that's really what it is. It's incredibly standard. When you look at it, there's not a whole lot there that would set it apart from any other reviewer out there. But they marketed it properly, and they were able to say, hey, look, we are doing this with this funny gag on top of it, and we're really buying into it. And when they did that, they saw the kind of success. And Reddit is also a good place to post content that would say something like, haha, lol, this girl likes video games. And I know we're a Reddit community, but there's definitely a large contingent of people out there who would look at that and go, hey, that's exactly what would fit with what I like. So when she did that, when they did that, they saw a lot of success. And they've even admitted they didn't expect to see that level of success. But they still went at it expecting to be somewhat successful, to make it a profitable venture from the beginning. And the fact that it has exploded is entirely due to incredibly smart marketing based off of Reddit.
So yeah, the short of it is, like we said, have 2 of everything if possible. If you're going to explore a new video idea, whatever that may be, try and have a couple of them that you can have ready within maybe a couple months span. Because if one blows up, you want to make sure you have something at least in the pipeline that's close enough to that point of like that boom period. Yeah,
you don't have to have it. We're not saying you have to have it immediately. We're not saying that it has to be uploaded, ready to go, just in case you explode. We're just saying that if you're going to have a new type of video, or you're going to do something that's a little outside of your comfort zone, just be prepared to do more of that in the future.
Yeah. I believe it was JonTron that said this once, which was that YouTube is sort of like the lottery, but every new video you upload is another ticket you're punching and another chance at that success. Doesn't mean that you're going to be guaranteed, no matter what, that you're going to blow up, but that the more that you make and the more consistently, ironically coming from him, that you make it, the more likely you are to have that one moment where the YouTube algorithm just shines on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not even for gaming. Like, I don't want this to feel like it's centralized for gaming.
No,
I mean, I look at somebody who actually is from the NewTuber subreddit, or at least she was for a while. I remember meeting her in the Discord. It was Casey Gold. And I've talked about her
and
before.
She exploded, yeah.
Oh, she made like a video, like
I think she's at 1 million now, right?
She's getting pretty close.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure she's at almost 1 million subscribers, and she started off in NewTubers on the Discord.
yeah.
So
But one of her art challenges, how small can I draw? It blew up, and within just maybe a week, she made another video doing the 10-minute, 1 minute, 10-second art challenge, and that also blew. So sometimes it's just like it's kind of like a wave sometimes
oh
for
no, it
YouTube.
absolutely is. If you look at every single video, or I'm sorry, every single creator who's ever been on the rise, whether it be creator on the rise, artist on the rise, or gaming creator on the rise, because obviously gamers are a different breed of creator and can't be included in the same group. Sorry, that's a personal problem I have there. Anyways, if you look at all of them, they all have a very similar trend in that they will have 3 or 4 very good for their size videos, but not incredible. Let's say that you're a 25,000 subscriber channel. They'll have 25,000 views per video, and then suddenly they will explode and have 150,000 views. So when they get that, then the very next video after that is the video where they're on trending.
Yeah. And that's another thing, actually. Another piece of advice for, let's say a video of yours does blow up, even relative to you or in general, don't make your next video an OMG thank you.
Don't do that.
That's something that I see a lot.
Don't do
with
that,
creators.
Avrona. Don't do it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just kind of keep doing what you're doing, and if you want to throw a thank you, do it at the end of the video.
Better
Maybe.
yet, do it in a community post or a
Yeah,
Twitter post
yeah.
or in the description, or, pin a comment, but don't make a please, unless you are Markiplier or a Jacksepticeye or you're a Casey Neistat or you're somebody who has a career already and people will come for you. Do not make any sort of status update videos. Just don't do it. Thank you for the 100 subscribers. Wow, you guys are shooting really high with that one. You know what I mean? Like, don't do it.
And we say that. Sure, we both did it. That's why we're saying don't do it, because it doesn't do much.
Thankfully, I've never made a status update video like that, but I've definitely done, hey, we're making changes on our channel kind of updates. And those are just as bad. Just don't do them. Continue to make the videos that you would make regardless. And you will continue to see the same sort of gentle upward slope that you were seeing beforehand. If you start making videos about how, oh my god, thank you for the 6,000 subscribers, thank you for the 60th subscriber, thank you for, no, don't do it. There are no milestones that you need to celebrate with your viewers. They don't care about you like that. If you want to make a video that celebrates a milestone, you've got 100,000 and you've got 1 million, and then maybe you've got every million after that. But even then, I'd say 100,000, million, 5 or 10 million at the best. And those are the only milestones you should be celebrating in a video. Otherwise, you're giving your viewers content they do not want to watch.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is you may see a larger creator do a video that's outside of their usual comfort zone, and it does well. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you do one in that same vein, it's going to do well relative to your audience. I have this issue with my channel where I have 2 separate series of videos. One is a longer form series and one is a shorter form series. They're similar styles, but the topic matter is different for both. And in the smaller series, I have most of my audience. A good chunk of my audience comes for just those. And I've converted probably 25, 35, probably more percentage of those into regular viewers over time. But they don't care about my main content, the stuff that I enjoy making. And that's something that you have to keep in mind, is that if your audience, if you're making a video that your audience did not subscribe for, they will not care. It does not matter. They're not watching for you. They're watching for the videos, and they will eventually watch for you if you keep it up. But don't push that early, because you can start stunting future videos based on how your current video does. YouTube may be less likely to promote the following one, like Moriarty mentioned earlier. But
that actually has happened to me, and that's why I'm more than happy to say, yeah, don't do it. If you put out a video that does badly, then YouTube is going to look at your videos and say, oh, he's done badly on this one. You're not hitting what they want in trending, which is 100% subscriber to viewer ratio for several videos in a row, followed by an explosion. They're looking for that, and once they get that, that's when they're going to start really pushing you out. But if what you're doing is saying, I'm at 100% subscriber to viewer ratio, which again is very, very good. Don't think that you need to be at that. But then after that, you're hitting 2 to 5%, and then you're hitting 50%, and then you're hitting 2 to 5% because you're doing these update videos about, oh my God, thank you so much. No good. No good.
Yeah.
So we've got a video here called Are You an RPG Gatekeeper, which appears to be a Dungeons and Dragons video. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Oh my goodness,
Sure.
it's so exciting, everybody. Let's go ahead and see what this video is all about. I like the cold open already, I can tell you that. I'm a big fan of videos that use openings, but they're not for everything, but I still, for me, it warms the cockles of my heart. Maybe even the subcockles.
Get your name.
I am Zul. I am the gatekeeper.
A couple of months ago, Zul the Gatekeeper tried to keep me locked out of my own opinion, and it really got my goat. It got my goat and flipped it off right in its beautiful goat face. So, I want to tell you, and Sigourney Weaver, exactly what everybody needs to know about gatekeepers. So, here's my topic sentence. Gatekeepers are cowards. And I know that's an aggressive statement, but if you bored my train of thought, I want to take us to a more positive destination, a place where we can channel that aggression into a kind of personal vigilance. Because I believe, just like Sigourney Weaver, there's a little gatekeeper in all of us just waiting to burst out. Hang on now, Perkins, what is a gatekeeper? Well, I'm here to say that at the
So a few things I want to dive into. First off, good use of lower thirds. Interesting having them on the right side instead of the left. Usually I see them on the left side. I like that. A little bit different. It keeps your eye on what you're watching, but it draws you away to say like, oh, hey, that's who's talking. That's what they're talking about. I like that. One thing I don't like is the audio quality, the room noise. There's a lot of reverb in this room. So it sounds like you're echoing. It sounds a little hollow. It's tough to fix depending on the room that you're in to be recorded in, but it sounds like you would be best off with almost like a lapel mic or something closer to your mouth because you're far enough away. If I'm guessing, shot in the dark, you have a Yeti. We all have Yetis. I have a pocket Yeti that I have over here on my shelf that I don't use anymore. If you have a Yeti, you really do want to be close up to deliver that. Because, for example, I'm going to back up here. If I start talking into this mic from a distance, either you can't hear me at all, or you can hear the room around me and the reverb coming from that room. But if I come back in, you can hear me much more clearly, much more cleanly, because all of what I'm saying is being focused directly into the microphone.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to address that. The lower third is this image that you see right here.
Yeah, sorry,
That is the lower third. You might see them over here. If you look at any news or whatever, it'll be the thing on the bottom that says the name. It is the graphics that are there. It is not the rule of third, which is totally different, which is breaking it up into thirds horizontally and vertically, and trying to keep things based along those lines because they are more visually appealing. Totally different things. Anything else?
Sorry, the audio cut out for me, so I thought you were still talking. Didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, thank you.
I have a quick little nitpick.
Oh, go ahead.
As far as like the lighting goes, the shadows are quite distracting. It's
Definitely got a yeah, I can see what you're talking about. So lighting is one of those things that's super, super hard to do, and nobody should be faulted necessarily for having immediately bad lighting, because of course you do. Even people who have millions plus subscribers have bad lighting. It costs a lot of time mostly to get lighting correctly, and there's a lot of little things you have to do. For example, I can tell based off of what we've got here that he is in a room that has, I would say, probably one or maybe two big bright white lights in front of him, probably with some sort of a like a light kit off of Amazon. And that's good for giving you good flat lighting, but there's a lot of reason why on a major set you'll have lights underneath, on top, and behind as well. It has to get rid of like the under jaw shadow. It gets rid of the shadows in the background and all of that. That's also why you'll have usually a flat matte background, like a green screen, right? So that you can get rid of that shadow and so on. If you wanted to elevate this particular set, what you would do is you would take that camera, point it down a little bit more so that you cut off the ceiling, and then put another light back there somewhere, pointed down towards the wall to get rid of those kind of gentle shadows that are happening.
I know for me personally, I have my own big studio softbox light that I use. And then I also have another, I don't even know what it's called, but it's another LED light that I got by accident as a gift. And I was like, oh, cool. And what I use that for, so I'll have my softbox. I can't really show you my set, but let's say I'm positioned in the center of this same room. I'll have the softbox, because of the way my room is set up, uh, close to like directly in front of me, so like behind the camera, but I have it angled a little bit because having it head on could sometimes be a little bit too bright for my room. And then I have this other light that can, it's because it's LED, you can manipulate the color of the light. So the one thing that about softbox is that I don't personally like is that all of the higher tier videos that you tend to see on YouTube from, let's say, like a vlogger, for example, tend to be really, really like white with the lighting in the background, and it's very bright, and I'm not a fan of that. So the LED that I have will turn, like I have like a light little yellow color that I'll use that'll kind of like warm up like my face and the set behind me and kind of feel a little bit more inviting. And there's just small things like that. They're hard and sometimes expensive to really sort out the way that you really want them. So you'll have to figure out your own solutions for the time being. And this is a totally fine set for the time being. That's one thing we want to stress.
Yeah, it's a good set.
Um, but keep in mind that eventually you may want to tweak those things, and that you might want to be a little bit more, a little warmer and a little bit more inviting. And that's what you can have specific lights that will do that.
It definitely depends on what kind of a feeling you're going for. This has more of a techie feel by being that kind of a, I would say, what, 4500K white light. It's almost on the blue spectrum. So with that, you're definitely going a little bit more techie, if that's what you're going for. Obviously, that's great. We haven't gotten further far enough into this video yet to know if we're going particularly techie. But you know, for most people, they're not going for that tech look. So the bright blue lights are not necessarily what you want to do. Again, if you want to elevate it again, take those lights that you have. If they've got dimmers on them and they're not like the $15, $25 softbox set that you can buy on Amazon, just dim them a little bit. Take down that light a little bit. Put something, you said you had a light on the ground there. Put something on the roof, the ceiling. Aim it down at those to get rid of some of those shadows. Because I can see some of the shadows over here. This is probably from your light on the ground. The reason you want that light on the ground is because it's easier if you've got a green screen, but you don't have one. So that's probably not going to give you a whole lot of value, especially since you seem to have your camera tilted slightly upwards.
RPG
So yeah, that's a good, we're only 45 seconds in and we've talked for 25 minutes.
table, the gatekeeper is that Muppet, that absolute Kermit the Frog who says, this isn't for you. Or, you're doing it wrong. Or, hey, somebody else does it better. It's that nasty voice that tries to impede.
Wait, are we the gatekeeper? right before he goes, you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry.
Oops.
Everybody's fun with their expertise because they're such a connoisseur. But I'm afraid the only surefire way to keep gatekeepers out of your game is to make sure that you're not a gatekeeper yourself. So let me show you how. But first, riddle me this. Who am I? Listen, Zip, RPGs just aren't for you, okay? Because you might have some dice and you might have some books, but that doesn't make you a real fan. We're all OG nerds at this table. We've been playing since high school, and we've played every edition, including 9 3/4. I bet you don't even read fantasy novels. You're just a tourist, mate. D&D just isn't for you. Hey, did you guess who I am? That's right.
One thing I want to briefly touch on, there's not a ton you can do about this, but you may have heard very faintly a little bit of like mouth noises is what I usually call them, where it's like the sound of like your tongue flicking the top of your palate, or just the noise of your mouth moving between words. That's really hard to get rid of, both before and after the fact. Especially after the fact, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest is before you record and while you're recording, especially if you're doing like segmented recording because you're doing these cuts between bits of the video, drink a lot of water. If you're not drinking a ton of water, your delivery is going to suffer as a result. And that's really
Keep that
important.
mouth wet.
Yeah, and not cold water either. That'll dry you out.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's also some good like oral gels that you can use to actually moisten your gum.
If you're going for that, yeah. Especially, I know not a whole lot of creators do it at this point, but for me, I will be doing 45, 50-minute long scripted takes, which is absolutely brutal. It's something that
It's awful. Don't do that.
It's hard to edit. Yeah.
super, super brutal. Forget editing; it's brutal on you. Like talking that long and doing it in your stage voice, which most people have a particular stage voice, and also just talking for 50 minutes is something a lot of people don't do. There's breaks, there's the natural breaks. When Token comes in to be like, I love cats, we can all be like, but we're not talking anymore, right? When you're doing it for that long, you're definitely going to have that problem. And this is something that a lot of newer creators definitely have trouble with because they're not used to talking straight in a stage voice, consistently filling up space and time for 5, 10, 15, or even an hour long, depending. It's something that streamers really have a problem with. And the easiest way to do it is to just get yourself a really, really big cup of water, something that's not cold, that you can use to continuously lubricate your vocal cords, your mouth, your tongue, all of that.
You'll suffer less afterwards as well as during. And Matthew also says one thing is that he mentions having a lisp doesn't help. Believe it or not,
Won't matter.
well, that doesn't matter first off, but believe it or not, I also I don't have an active speech impediment, but I talk, as you can tell, really, really fast. And delivering on YouTube, this isn't really advice as much as something to hopefully look forward to. Delivering lines for YouTube has helped me kind of kill. I've been able to like sort of change my speaking voice based on how my YouTube delivery voice is, and I've become a much more interesting speaker as a result because I'm not talking super super fast like I am right now. I talk in a more purposeful way. That's just the confidence of speaking and delivering so much, but also that I know Moriarty once mentioned that he thinks I have a bit of a lisp with my S's sometimes, and I do. And being cognizant of that when delivering has helped me deliver the lines in a different way, which has helped me sort of a lot of the time push past that lisp that I have with some of my S's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being cognizant of it is probably the most important thing. I really wouldn't worry about the lisp. You'll find that there's honestly, a lot of people out there who do. They're really, really, really common. There are some creators who have it to the point where it's annoying, but you can't do anything about that. And there's it's probably not worth spending so many thousands of hours working on, it's not worth it.
It helps make you, so I would never look at it as a negative. There's one thing I always like to say as well when people talk about having lisps is that there's an old, I don't know if it's actually a true tale or if it's like an old wives' tale kind of thing, that in Spain, the reason that they pronounce C's with like a TH sound compared to other Spanish-speaking languages that don't pronounce it that way is because one of their kings had a lisp. So everyone started pronouncing with like a th sound instead of a s sound to compensate for the fact that he had a lisp.
I don't know if that's true either. It sounds good though.
I'm not sure if it's fully historically true, but I learned it in Spanish class once, so I'm going to believe it.
Me too.
That's why they call it Barcelona instead of Barcelona in Spain. So yeah.
I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm a coward. People who feel the need to exclude another player based on some perceived class this way, whether it's gender or sexuality or experience, race, whatever, anything, I think that reeks of insecurity on that person's part. They just need to be the expert in this field. They need this safe space where they've survived for so long. And the idea of somebody else coming in kind of threatens their sovereignty there. People that operate this Operation Sovereign Borders circling the table like sharks probably think that they're doing the right thing to protect the integrity of the hobby, but they're actually just running this Operation Fragile Ego, and I can't wait till they fall down. My point is that if a person wants to come in good faith and play D&D, nobody has the right to tell them that D&D isn't for them. That was really fun. All right, you want to do another one? Okay, let's do it. Who am I? Nick, the most optimal thing that you can do on your turn is cast Fireball, because you didn't take Fireball, it's the best wizard spell. Okay, then you should cast Flaming Sphere and should cast it on that group over there, because then you might catch their wizard and break his concentration. And on your next turn, you should move over here and take full cover behind this bit of rock. And hey, I'll help you add up those D6s because there's a lot there. And I think, oh wait, I can see it in your eyes. Yeah, you've worked it out. You've guessed it, haven't you? I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm a coward. How good is that fear? How good is that lack of self-awareness? How good is that?
I can't tell if it's your camera settings or if your camera is natively this way, but it looks like you might have I forget what it's called on most cameras, like automatic settings for like your lighting and autofocus.
Like a white balance?
Yes, white balance. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You want to generally, in my opinion, turn that off.
I have
that
it
was
done
advice.
manually.
Yeah. It's better to have it done once, all at once, rather than having it, as you saw. Let me try and go back and see if I can get that zoom.
You'll see close to the camera.
Yeah, right when he zoomed in towards the camera.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
You've worked it out. You guessed it out.
Yeah, it's just a totally different color of the room, even where everything
actually
is darker.
A nicer color, quite frankly. It's a lot warmer.
Yeah,
definitely better. This goes along with we should probably have you dimming down your softboxes there, but that is called a auto white balance. You do not want that turned on. What you need to do is at least take a very white piece of paper. If you don't have that, that's fine. But like, get something that is as white as possible. Put that at your general range that you'll be standing, and then set your white balance off of that. With all your lights on and everything, set that as your true white and let it just work off of that. Don't allow it to do auto white balance. Autofocus is also not great, but it's, it is what it is.
Depends on what if you're moving around like that, you do want to have autofocus, but
yeah.
I'm surprised your cat didn't set it off earlier. Because that's happened to me in the past where like something just like even like a fly flew through the screen once when I was recording and it messed up my focus.
That's awesome. Yeah, that can definitely suck. But the auto white balance has got to go.
Okay. I don't know where we were before, so we're just going to start back where we were.
Haven't you? I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm a coward. How good is that fear? How good is that lack of self-awareness? How good is that need to play optimally? How good is that need to win? How good's everybody else rolling their eyes at the table every time you open your mouth on somebody else's turn? Hot damn, Sigourney Weaver, that is some advanced gatekeeping, and that is the kind of trap that I personally fall into sometimes. And whenever I notice myself quarterbacking at the table, trying to carry the team to success on my own because of my own insecurity and my own fear, I force myself to shut my big, stupid mouth. Because literally the only thing you get to do in an RPG, a tabletop RPG, the only thing you get to do in the game is make decisions. And if somebody's trying to play the game in good faith, nobody has the right to take those decisions away from them. I'm getting pretty angry, but I'm having fun still. So let's do another one, okay? So last one, who am I? Hey, Hanker and Fernale, have you seen Critical Role? How the Dungeon Master on Critical Role, Matthew Mercer of Critical Role, he makes this decision where he lets the players narrate the death of the monsters. Because on Critical Role, if Laura Bailey gets to kill a monster, then Laura Bailey gets to describe how she kills the monster, because Matthew Mercer of Critical Role says, how do you want to do this? And they're famous and they play D&D really well and everybody loves them. So everything that they do on Critical Role should be right for everybody and they're above criticism and reproach and nobody should deviate from that. And anybody that does or disagrees with them is, of course, wrong because they're famous and they're an authority. Don't you know that? Have you seen Critical Role? Oh, man. Oh, wow. Oh, no. I'm a gatekeeper and I'm a coward.
I would have, just from an editorial standpoint, I would have cut all of these characters in half.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I was going to say something else, but I didn't want to pause right away. One other thing, going back to microphones, probably an obvious one. Don't turn away from your microphone when delivering.
That was something I was going to take note of.
Yeah, not a huge deal, especially since it didn't really affect your audio quality here. I think with a lapel mic, you'd be a little bit better off, but even with a lapel mic, you got to be careful not to turn too much, because depending on where you have it placed on your shirt or on your body, when you turn, it might not have the right spacing for you to get the lines delivered the right way. And there's something inherently funny sometimes about talking off camera, like, hey, did you really edit it that way? That was stupid. Why would you do that stupid editing joke? And then coming back and talking. Like, that's a thing that a lot of people do. And that's fine. You can play into that. But I would focus more on keeping not necessarily your eyes locked with the camera, but keeping the audience focused directly on you and what you're saying. So looking away probably won't, but it might subliminally show them that you're not interested or you're not as focused on the topic, and it can make their minds inherently wander a little bit.
And I have to say, it's especially important in your style because you have such a great energy. Like, I'm actually finding this genuinely entertaining. That when you do look away, when it does take away from your delivery, it's much more noticeable.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of that too. When I'm delivering lines on camera, I look in the upper right or upper left corner of my room sometimes, and I've caught myself doing it, and I will just right then and there force myself to retake. Usually, and it's helped my on-camera persona a lot more to be very focused on the camera. Or if I'm going to focus on something off camera, I have a set thing in my room where I'm okay. This is the thing I'm going to focus on. That's how I'm going to focus.
Now, I've got a lot of experience with social anxiety, but I don't have any energy for it, especially in my creative endeavors. Because even though Matthew Mercer and Griffin McElroy and Chris Perkins, who isn't my dad, are all great dungeon masters, and they're all experts, they're experts in their game. They're not experts in your game, and they're not experts in my game. You don't need to wholesale borrow their ideas. You don't need to adopt everything they do. You don't need to take everything they say as gospel. And you're allowed to have your own opinions. You're allowed to voice your own opinions, even if it counters something that they say. It's fine. It's fine. Is there a phone in here? Where could it be? Oh, here it is. Okay. Hello? Oh my god, you guys, it's International Dungeons and Dragons media mogul, all-around friendly human, Matthew Mercer. I wonder what he could want. Hey, mate. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm filming right now. They're here. Oh, you want me to tell them? You sure? Okay, if you really mean it. Okay, see you, mate. I love you. Oh my god, you guys, he agrees with me. And he says, break rules, win hearts. All jokes aside, that's just how I personally plan to avoid being a gatekeeper at my table moving forward. I'm giving myself amnesty, and you, amnesty, for all your transgressions as far as gatekeeping goes in the past, but moving forward, let's not be cowards. Let's not be gatekeepers. Let's not be Sigourney Weaver, because we are going to, we're going to open ourselves up to new experiences by playing with all kinds of people. 2, we're going to not be a coward by opening ourselves up to failure and not feeling the need to play optimally at every situation. And 3, we are going to shake the confines, the shackles of popular opinion. You can be your own man. You can be your own dungeon master. You can do whatever the hell you want.
I'm just going to pause real quick. Are you looking away at your notes? Because it seems like that's what you're trying to do. I don't know if Kevin or Bolt, I don't know if you do this, but I would recommend actually placing them kind of in front of the camera, maybe offset a little bit to the left or right.
Yeah, so I don't actually do notes as much when I do my live stuff, because every time I try, I mess up.
Mhm.
So I kind of just go, here's what I want to say, and then I kind of hash it out on camera as I'm going to say it. Because for me, I don't know what it is, but when I'm on camera delivering lines, if I do an exact thing I want to say, I will mess it up most of the time. I'm not good at not teleprompting. And I don't have a teleprompter because those are expensive as hell.
They're so nice.
I mean, I'm sure they're very. I want one, but I'm not spending that money on it yet.
So he says no, he's not. He just has trouble making eye contact. I would definitely force yourself to try to do that then.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
something that's going to take practice.
make like now that you're more cognizant of it, you'll start noticing it a lot more and you'll catch yourself. It might mean that your next few videos have more cuts or that you might be retaking a few times. That's fine because very quickly you're going to find that you're learning not to do that, at least, in your head, and it'll lead to a better product overall.
Also, I just realized that I completely forgot to even introduce myself or the channel in this entire video. So my name is Matthew Perkins. This is a D&D channel where we talk about Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, both of them. And downstairs in the bloody comments, you can tell me about what you reckon. You can tell me about the Gatekeeper. You can tell me about your story specifically with Gatekeepers, because I've been privileged in the fact that nobody's really tried to tell me what to do too much except to shut up. But I bet some of you have some real horror stories, and I'd love to hear them. And I want to hear how you can forgive the Gatekeeper in yourself. So subscribe to the channel, catch me on Twitter at mperkinsdm, catch me on Reddit, rmatthewperkins, catch me outside.
So very quickly, this is something that I think a lot of newer creators don't realize. You do not want to do this sort of here's everything that I possibly do resume at the end of your videos. So far, I was actually thinking that your call to actions were pretty strong, but limit yourself to 1 or 2 for every video, because people are, quite frankly, going to start tuning you out. I would guarantee you that at this particular point in your analytics, nobody is watching anymore because you've started to close out your video, and they've started to close out your video too. You get a very short period of time within which you can give your call to action. So choose 1 or 2 that are really important to you. You can change them for every video, it doesn't matter, but just choose 1 or 2 and stick to that. For example, for me, all I want from a video viewer, all I want is for them to watch another video. And so that is my only call to action.
I was going to say the same thing, is that if you're going to pick 2, I would suggest probably, if I had to guess off the top of my head, comments for that engagement and that feedback, especially when you're a smaller creator starting out. I'm not sure how many subscribers you're at. I can't see that on the screen here.
I think it's like 500 and something.
Okay, so that's a good amount. You especially want to bump up that engagement. You want to make sure that you know what your viewers are thinking about your video, because likes alone don't mean a lot. Dislikes don't mean anything either, outside of just being another number that
my best video has 3,000 dislikes.
Moriarty's best video is the single most liked video, most disliked video, I'm sorry, on YouTube from last year, like percentage wise. Like it has a lower like percentage than YouTube Rewind.
Has a lower like percentage than that extra credits Nazi video. It's the worst on the platform, and it does incredibly well.
Yeah, and so I would suggest, obviously, don't focus on liking. That's something I do. It's like, oh, don't forget to like the video. I need to cut that out, actually. Just, hey, what do you think? Comment down below, and while you're down there, check out my next video here.
Mm-hmm.
And 10, 15 seconds, you're done.
Don't be afraid to just end a video. It's really okay. You want people to be getting to those end screens. You want them to be getting to the recommended content. You want them to start commenting. You want them moving to the next video. That's what you want. So if you have a very, very long outro where you are telling them, hey, don't forget to check out my Reddit, and I've got this great Tumblr. You can also check out my blog. It's on whatever, and, I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got this, and hey, if you like crypto, you can totally donate to me, and don't forget to watch my 4th channel. Nobody's watching at that point. They really aren't, and you're hurting yourself, because every video viewer that gets to the end of a video, you have a chance to convert them into watching another video. You have your end screens, and you've got your recommended. And that is your opportunity to turn them into another viewer. They're another view on another video, rather. It's your chance to convince them to subscribe. It's your chance to convince them and turn them into a paying viewer through Patreon or Teespring or whatever. But if they're clicking off because you are grocery listing them to death, then you're not going to get that opportunity and you're wasting it. Yeah. Yes, Drone King says here, roll the end screens over the outro. Absolutely. Keep it going. Let it go. You've got 20 seconds for your end screen according to YouTube's end cards, right? That's 20 seconds. So we're still 30 seconds away from where you're even, or I'm sorry, 10 seconds away from where you're even able to talk about the end screen. And we're
You've
already
been
at the
talking
point.
for 30 seconds.
Yeah. We're already saying, okay, this is too much. You've ended your video. You are losing that opportunity.
Yeah.
Give them that 20 seconds. Use your outro time. Let them click off of you, but show them the videos. Show them the subscribe on the screen. That's how you're going to convert these people and manage to increase your close rate there.
Yeah. And while we're on that note, one thing I do want to say, a good compliment is, like Maury already mentioned at the start of the video, very good hook, very good intro, because you were in and out within about 30 seconds. And that first 5 seconds of a video is the most important part of your video. If you haven't interested that viewer who happened to click the recommended video, if you haven't interested them, they're going to click off, and that's going to hurt your attention. That's going to hurt your video performance, both for that video and for future videos. And it's just not going to do you any good whatsoever. So if you have a really good 30-second intro or something that very much hooks the audience in, if you have to go more than 30 seconds, that's fine. I usually go 35 to a minute, somewhere thereabouts. But my hook, I make sure is as good as I can possibly make it. Because if you have that, then that's enough.
Catch me on my blog, which is matthewperkins.net. Hey, and I've got a Discord. It's great. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Thank you so much for watching. Been a blast making this video. Bye.
Yeah. So there's no point even watching that because it's 20 seconds of nothing. You could have had this over your grocery list that you were doing. You could have been talking about that, and instead you didn't. Also, does Watch Together get rid of the overscreen? I guess it does. So that's something that you can definitely fix, and you can fix it immediately in your next one. Yeah?
I think, did you cut out there, or was that me?
Did I? No, I didn't cut out. I never cut out. I'm beautiful and wonderful in all ways.
I was going to say, I do like the end screen template you have there. I like that. Very, like, it fit the intro branding you had, so it's good that you have an outro branding that's about the same. It's eye-catching. I like it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we've got another couple of videos here.
Ragnarok asked if the music peaked. I don't think it peaked. I think that was part of the design of the song to be like lo-fi kind of vibe. That's a choice that any creator has to make, is what their outro music is going to be. That one works just fine. I think it's a little bit too lo-fi for my liking, but that might be Watch Together being weird. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't really judge people for their music.
Like, yeah, it is what it's that fit. Like the sound of that fit the brand that you're kind of going for, which is very down to earth. I liked it for what it was. I think the percussion was weird, but that's not what I'm here to judge.
yeah, it's fun. So we've got another video here called "How Much Can Cats Jump in 4 Minutes?" Life of Cats number 1.
So two things. One, I love this video.
All right.
I like the cats a lot. They are adorable. I would suggest maybe don't have every single time that the cats jump be replayed, especially when it's usually the same speed.
I don't think they were being replayed. I think those were separate jumps. I thought it was the same thing too, but I think they are separate jumps from the same angle.
Okay, I mean that would make sense. They looked so similar that honestly I couldn't tell. So maybe also I don't know what the best option would be. Maybe split them up.
Some much heavier editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different camera angles. You're kind of doing. This is tough because this is obviously something that you shoot because you find it very entertaining, and you care about your cats. I mean, your candy cats. So, like, cats are a thing. And it's Life of Cats 110. So, there's a lot of footage that you've gone through in your life, and these are the things that you're enjoying about them. You got to find different camera angles. You got to splice them in there. You can't just do a slow motion of the same jump 3 times in a row. That is going to start making people go, hold on, are you just replaying the exact same footage and just doing it slower? And
Yeah.
that's immediately something that people are not going to like.
Yeah, I think if that either any of the three of us were confused by that, that's not a great sign for the average viewer because we're paying intense attention to the video that's going on, whereas most viewers are not good. YouTube tends to be more for listening than viewing, I would argue. So obviously they're going to be watching this, but they're not going to be paying as much attention as we are. So if we're having trouble, almost everyone else is going to have trouble.
Mm-hmm. Definitely just something to keep in mind. If you are going to be taking footage, try to limit yourself to 1 or 2 of the same shots. That goes for just about any type of video like this. Not necessarily just cats, but any action video where you're seeing the same thing repeating over and over again, whether it be on your GoPro and you're doing, jumps on your bike or whatever. If it's the same jump over and over again and there's no difference, then people are going to start going, why am I watching it? Right? If it's your cat doing a jump, if it's a whatever, you just really want to make sure that you are making it dynamic for the viewer. There's a reason why in action movies they don't show the same punch over and over again, even if that's what's happening. You watch a boxing match, right? In a movie, you're going to see that they are constantly keeping it dynamic, moving around. It is not going to look the same, even if it is just 2 jabs after the other. And I actually am a big fan of boxing movies for that reason. If you go watch them, they make what can be an incredibly boring, 30 minutes of action with maybe 200 punches in it. If you watch that and you're able to see how they make each one look completely different, unique, dynamic, and game-changing, or at least potentially game-changing, that's what you should be aiming for in any sort of action video. I know you cut in there on me, and I spoke right over you for a second. Did you have something you wanted to say, Bolt?
No, I don't think I was saying anything. I was gonna, while you were talking, you stopped before I could check. I was gonna comment on the video's title because let me look here. 1 second. I want to see how many characters this video's title is. It's gonna be a lot. So this is about 77 characters, this video's title. So you have how much can cats jump in 4 minutes. That's good. I like that. You have a cat emoji. Emojis actually, I believe, in YouTube count separately. It counts as the full metadata of that emoji. So it's emoji cat or whatever the cat emoji is. That's 3 characters, or at least 2. YouTube also doesn't exactly index those emojis as search terms. So having that in your video is in your title is good for drawing eyes, but bad for the YouTube algorithm, I would say.
No, and we tested this repeatedly. We tested this. We actually worked with an analytics company for almost 18 months. And this is one of the things that we worked on specifically was, are emojis in a title worth the negative, right? And they're not. They're just not.
Yeah. The other thing is having 2 backslashes or forward slashes between each of the parts of the video or of the video title, because you have, this is what you did here for your title branding is very good, and people should pay attention to this, is you have a hook, you have the series title, you have the channel title, and they're all separated. That is something that's tried and true on YouTube. The hook is good.
Hook explainer show. Yep.
And so the show is Candy Cats. The series is Life of Cats 110, or Life of Cats number 110 is the episode number. And the hook is how much can cats jump in 4 minutes. That is good. Having 2 forward slashes between each is just filling space. And if you were to remove the emoji and one of these slashes, you would cut down, let me see, a good amount of your title length,
Well,
and
because
it
you
would
got
help.
heart, cat with heart eyes, and cat. So you've got like 30 characters tied up in those emojis for your metadata.
Yeah, I jumped you down 10 characters according to letter count, which is a website, just by removing those things. And like I said, I'm pretty sure YouTube counts emojis as multiple characters even still.
Mhm.
We haven't tested it again recently, but if you tested it, I'm pretty sure it adds 2 to 3 characters. So when you do that, it's going to show only about the first 40 to 50 characters of your title under the video if it's recommended to somebody. So you're going to have how much can cats jump in 4 minutes, life,
I
dot,
think
dot,
it's
dot.
70 grand total. It's
Is
70.
it's 70 now? Okay.
Yeah.
It changes all the time, so I don't know.
But the point is that for metadata, which is ultimately the analytics god that you are bowing before, hoping it will like you, it's going to read that badly. It's going to read that as a very bad title. Additionally, there is some, and I don't want to give you this as cold hard fact, okay, but it is something that I've heard repeatedly from some very large creators that we've spoken with, that the separator that you're using, the forward slash or even the long separator line, I don't know what that's technically called, but
Vertical bar.
that thing, vertical bar or whatever, those are actually viewed negatively as well. And you kind of want to stick with just a hyphen, not even a colon if you can help it, but just the regular old hyphen. It doesn't mind the hyphen, but everything else it just kind of doesn't like so much. Again, not a cold hard fact, but I have heard that repeatedly.
So, for example, the series that my channel name is based off of, the Golden Bolt, is Ratchet and Clank, and the and is an ampersand. If you go and you search Ratchet and Clank with the ampersand on YouTube, it does Ratchet colon backslash and colon backslash 0037, because that's the hex code, or not hex code. That's the short code for an ampersand in YouTube and everywhere. So when you type an ampersand, that's what the computer is doing, is it's figuring out which character that wants to be. It's not like it's an A, it is a long string of letters. And so all of my tags that have Ratchet and Clank in the tags, when I'm doing a video on that series, it's Ratchet colon slash 0037 Clank.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to look up correctly on YouTube.
Yeah. So use letters, use words as much as possible, and avoid having the separators that are code separators. So I guess according to Matthew Perkins, it is a delimiter. So you don't want that. You don't want underscores. You don't want to have especially anything like like the ampersands or like the percentile signs, hyphen, not hyphen. What's it called? God, for a PC gamer, I should know tilde. You don't want any of that kind of stuff if you can help it. The special characters, if you go look at trending or you go look at any of these major creators, look at their titles, even they don't do any of this stuff. And I can guarantee you that Jake Paul would have nothing but emojis in his title if it could make him 5 more views. 5 more views, he'd put emojis everywhere. He'd have hyphens, I keep saying it, hyphens are good. He'd have all these things just for the 5 extra views. And the fact that a guy like that, who is that needy, he doesn't do it, that means you shouldn't do it either. When you've got the clickbait kings out there and they won't even do it, you shouldn't do it either. Yes, it can help attract some attention. You're small, so if you're under 10,000 subscribers, that's why you're here, right? So you're smaller, you're looking at it saying, what can I do that will set me apart? 1 emoji, maybe. 3, not so much.
I'm just curious. Are you using like a fisheye kind of lens on the camera? Because it
The
looks like
FOV
it's
is weird. Yeah,
what was that?
the FOV is definitely weird.
Yeah. So like it looks fine for these like low to the ground shots. I don't know if the camera, if you have another lens on hand that you could swap to for something like this shot here. When you start zooming, panning up, excuse me, that like I don't know if you can see that jittering almost as it's leaving the core of the focus of the camera.
Yeah, you can actually look at the door and you'll see that nice curve that's going on there.
Yeah, and that looks good for the cat's perspective on the ground. I don't know that it looks great outside of that and zooming in close, like for your close-up shots of the cats when you're playing with them. But I like it. I like the choice of having it down for that floor level. But just something to keep in mind. Only other thing I would say is that the intro and outro could do like the end card itself could use first off the color of the watch more and subscribe. Uh, I would suggest changing that to something with A, an outline, and B, probably a drop shadow of some sort.
Probably just white.
Yeah, white with a black outline and
White text with black border looks good on every color. Every
Yeah.
color. I wish Boots to the Max was here. He'd be dropping that meme right now.
So that would be one thing I would suggest for the bottom bar. You have your channel brand, the channel icon. You have that there, but you have the subscribe to the left as well. So I don't think it's going to let you put it there on the bottom because of the way that the YouTube end card sizing works. So I would probably remove that, and I would tweak how you have the cats and the text for their names underneath. I would tweak that as well.
Yeah, they're kind of
because
washed out.
It's washed out. It's small. It's hard to read, and yeah, I think that's really the main thing. And maybe have like a nice crossfade between the cat jumping or whatever the action is, crossfading into the end screen.
Or just put it over the cats. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. There's no
honestly,
reason to have. For some creators, it makes sense to have a separate end screen for your end cards to go over. It's not necessarily something that you're going to see changing anything for you. There's no reason to do it if it doesn't fit your brand. It's not going to get you more views. It's not going to get you more subscribers or anything like that. It is perfectly okay to have all this stuff come up over action, especially if you're a vlogger or you're doing any sort of camera actions. That's great because now you have somebody still watching action while you're trying to sell them something. You're halfway there. If you're a gamer, right, you may not be able to get away with that on every single video because of all the extra stuff that's on screen. But if it's just a picture of your cat staring at the screen there, there's no reason why you shouldn't be having next video, subscribe, visit Patreon showing up on screen over that cat's face. There's no reason why that shouldn't be happening. And it's definitely something that you can consider for future videos.
So yeah, that was I really enjoyed the video, but I like cats, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
But those things would be the things that I would suggest most. And like I said, that having that fisheye lens for regular shots, I think detracts from having it for the if you have it for the entire video, it diminishes the effect that it has when using it for impact. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And you could see in quite a few of those shots there that it was almost nauseating coming in from an exceptionally long distance, fast zooming in, and panning, that, oh boy. Like, if you were to do that too much, I would not be surprised if there are not some viewers who have seen that and gone, oof, I'm done, and just disappeared.
Yeah, and you could even go into your real time like retention screen on the YouTube analytics page, and you could probably see during one of those shots that it dips a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised.
Would not be surprised, especially if you're looking at like relative. I would bet that if you're looking at your relative retention as opposed to your absolute retention, that you are seeing dips in those spots specifically. So the next video we have up, I've actually already seen. I'm subscribed to this guy, so I'm going to let you guys decide what to watch because I've already critiqued the hell out of it. No, wait! What's up, that's incorrect. This has the identical thumbnail to somebody else. Identical.
Well, that's a good start.
I legitimately thought this was somebody else's video entirely. So this is a review of Blazing Chrome, and it is an identical thumbnail to a video from somebody else that I am subscribed to and have already watched it and given them feedback on. So I guess I'm wrong, but that's something we can talk about in just a minute.
The WASD Cat here. Today we will be reviewing Blazing Chrome, which was provided to me by the game's publisher in order to create this review.
I want to start this video
With that said, let's get started. What's up everybody, WASD Cat here. Today we will be reviewing Blazing Chrome, which was provided to me by the game's publisher in order to create this review. With that said, let's get started. In Blazing Chrome, machines have seized control of the world, and as one of the few remaining humans alongside your robotic pal, you must reclaim the Earth. In classic run-and-gun fashion, you mow down enemies by properly aiming, avoiding oncoming bullets, and taking out several larger-than-life bosses in the robotic-filled post-apocalyptic setting. The one option that I did want to mention is that there are fully rebindable keys for both the controller and the keyboard, as well as the fact that the co-op play for Blazing Chrome supports local cooperative play only. You are also not able to mix the control methods, such as one person playing on the keyboard and one person playing on the controller. Rather, both players will likely need to use their own controller. With that address, let's jump into the game. The story of
this is advice that you gave to Token once, I know.
Advice. Sure, I know what you're already going to say too.
I know what you're going to say.
So this is going to touch on the voiceover delivery, and this is true for anybody who's reading a script of any sort, be it for a game review or for anything non-gaming related whatsoever. Make sure that you have variation in both your sentence structure and your delivery style. It's something that I still sometimes struggle with certain words where I say them a certain way every time, or I open a sentence with however. I always do that same however to the point where I can say however, and you won't even notice that I said it the same way 3 times because I'm just so used. Like, you'll notice it, but I won't, I should say. So I heard you say controller in the same way, I think 3 times in a row, and that's why I chose however to compare that to. So you were starting and ending your sentence on the same, oops, I just punched my microphone. Don't do that. You're starting and ending your sentence on the same tone almost. And I think Moriarty can explain this a little bit better than I can because he had a really good way of saying it.
I don't know if I can remember the way that you liked me saying it, but shoot. With Token, he had a problem where he was constantly moving from an upper, higher tone and then ending it on a lower tone. And he would start every sentence and come on down. Exactly, yeah. Hey guys, this is Token Geek, and today we're going to look at this game. I'm really excited about this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And when we talk like this and we keep on bringing it down, you're going to start seeing that people kind of zone out on you. They are not listening to what you're saying. They're just zoning out. And you start sounding very mechanical. You start sounding very robotic. It's not a good sound. It's something that will very, very quickly lose you viewers. They're not going to sit and listen to it for a long period of time. I don't think that's how you wanted me to describe it, though, Bolt.
No, that was pretty close. It's something that comes with time very much, but it also comes with kind of getting hit with that revelation once or twice. Because even after I know Token can say this better than I can because it was his example. Even after that, he still struggled to get those line deliveries the way he wanted to, while still being interesting and while still having that sentence variation in saying things that are very like upper voice, or maybe using like a well to try and like spice things up and be a little bit more personality driven rather than just reading the script and having that same tone the entire way through.
Yeah, we can tell that this is written from a script. 100%. This was read from a script that you had written down, and perhaps it was a very good script, but I can guarantee you that a lot of people are not going to find that out because it's just the intonations that you're using, the way that you're using the inflection of your voice is not unfortunately exciting. And I'm not saying that you need to be the angry video game nerd here. Neither am I saying that you need to be just nothing but the standard YouTuber. Hey guys, what's going on today? You don't need to do that. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you need to have a conversational tone when you're talking. And that's hard to do.
I was about to say,
Go on.
It absolutely sounds like you're giving a class presentation where you're talking to your audience rather than with your audience.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Which isn't always a bad thing. It's just a time and place.
Yeah. And even on that class presentation note, if you're not sounding interested in what you're saying, why should I?
And Afro Reactions here is saying that Game Theories is a good example of changing cadence. And it's true, but that's also... Keep in mind that he's doing this change of cadence over a long period of time with a lot of editing involved. And I can guarantee you 100% that when you're watching a Game Theory video, every single word has been said 15 different times in 15 different takes.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even for my own scripts, I record most lines multiple times, either with the same intonation or with different intonations to see which one sounds best for the sentence that I'm saying and for what I am imagining the editing that's going to be behind what I'm saying. So that's something to very much keep in mind, even if you're just going to, I haven't seen enough of the video to know, but even if you're posting just one consecutive gameplay clip, you're not so far. The words that you carry can go further with that than just having a highly edited video with the same tone, if that makes sense. So I, for example, in some of my game reviews that I've done in the past, I've had long clips of like 2 to 3 minutes where I didn't edit anything because I was lazy. And the thing is, my relative retention, I should say, didn't go down because what I was saying was still relevant to the clip that I chose, even though it was one extended clip. So I didn't need to cut and find the exact perfect clip for every single thing that I'm saying. So if I have a list of things like, oh, Sly Cooper and Bentley the turtle and Murray the hippo, and I don't show pictures of each and every one of them, I just show a clip that eventually encompasses all three. So that saves me editing time, but also what I'm doing is making sure that what I'm saying is interesting enough that you're going to listen to what I'm saying more than you're going to watch what's on the screen. And it's this harmony that you can really manipulate to make your videos as edit intensive or as editing light as you want. I don't know if either of you have any input on that. Nope. All three of us review games, so...
Yeah, well, I don't review them anymore, but we're all gaming related. So this is actually a subject that we're interested in, and I've already watched a video about this particular game, so I'm invested in the subject, and I'm not invested in the speaker. And I will show you why. We'll go back just, I don't know, 15 seconds or so. And I just want you to listen to the next 20 seconds and picture in your head the point when you as a viewer are going, eh.
The one option that
take your time. It's fine.
I did want to mention.
Broken. Somebody click play. It's not working.
Okay.
Like it's legitimately not working for me.
There we go.
Is it working for you?
It's
It
loaded
says
for
you
me.
left the room.
Oh my god.
Oh, good. Can you join back up? That might be why.
I left the room.
There we go. We're back. All right,
Okay.
I'm jumping back. We'll start here.
30 seconds, right there.
Coming bullets and taking out several larger-than-life bosses in the robotic-filled post-apocalyptic setting. The one option that I did want to mention is that there are fully rebindable keys for both the controller and the keyboard, as well as the fact that the co-op play for Blazing Chrome supports local cooperative play only. You are also not able to mix the control methods, such as one person playing on the keyboard and one person playing on the controller. Rather, both players will likely need to use their own controller. With that addressed, let's jump into the game. The story of Blazing Chrome is delivered by a short cutscene that occurs initially when you boot up the game and is quickly resolved towards the end of the
At this point,
So-
you're kind of hearing what I'm talking about.
So every clause, not even every sentence, but every clause, you end on a higher intonation. So you're always ending your sentences like this every time.
Every
And
single
yeah, and that's something you want to keep an eye out for, because you definitely want to make sure if it's something with the way that you're writing the script, then manipulate your scripts so that you don't say those things in a way that is going to do that. That's what I did. I used to have problems with certain words. For example, I could not say for the life of me, particularly when I was delivering lines. I would stammer and stutter and it become particular every time.
It's
And
true.
so I
you'd
stopped
scream.
writing. I would stop. Yeah, no, then I would be like, and it'd be recorded and I would just cut that out. And so I made it so that if I'm going to say the word particularly, I will cut that recording and I will splice myself in saying particularly this topic here. And that way, first off, don't be afraid. That's another thing. I'm going to go on a tangent here. Don't be afraid to splice together two parts of a sentence if your delivery fits that. So I've learned how to deliver my lines in such a way that I will stop myself at the middle of a clause and then come back in later with the similar tone that I had before. So I've learned how to sight read or sight hear what I'm delivering and deliver the next part of the line in a similar way so that it sounds congruent.
And
And
yeah, that's a big
something that-
part. Go on.
Something that can really help with this also, like with line delivery, is actually something that I think Bolt told me to do, which was actually underline, italicize, bold
Yes,
certain
yes.
words within your script. That way your eyes will actually just naturally catch on to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of all caps because all caps at least shows up better if I'm taking my script and putting it into the closed captioning of a video. That helps the listener or the viewer see in the caption what I'm highlighting when they're reading the captions while listening to the video, and that's very helpful. Whereas bold doesn't obviously do that.
It also helps when you're doing that too, when you're italicizing, you're bolding, underlining, etc. It helps you remember the intonation that you're going with in your head as you're writing it, which
Yes.
will help you bring that intonation and that inflection out when you actually speak it. If you just write the words, Blazing Chrome is a game that has this, right? You'll probably say it as Blazing Chrome has it, but if you bring in some of these visual cues for you to change up your emotions, you'll see that. Because right now what you're doing is you're starting at a mid-level. Blazing Chrome is a game and you're going down, right? And you go down every sentence. So you're starting at the middle. Blazing Chrome is a game about this thing and this is what it is. And you're coming back in kind of this U shape with your inflection. And that's fine occasionally, but it's basically the most dull possible way to talk. It's something that you're going to find people just aren't that interested in listening to. And if you're able to bring that in, change it up a bit. In the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a word, extend out some of those words. Make them a little longer, make them a little bit quicker, talk a little faster, talk a little slower, and bring people in so that they are interested in what you're talking about, so that they're interested in what you have to say. And don't be afraid to get a little quiet, a little closer to the microphone, or even a little further away and a little louder. Whatever it takes to keep that interest going.
Yeah, it's delivering your lines should be considered its own art form, separate from the editing that you're doing, from the script that you're writing. It is a separate, crucial chunk of the process of making a scripted video. I would argue having good lines, having a good delivery style, I would argue is more important than having good lines to say. Because I've had videos that I don't care about the topic whatsoever, but I have to make it,
Yes.
and I've made them interesting.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, so like I it's gotten to the point where I can take the most bored, like wooden board looking topic, and I can at least talk about it in a way where from my intonations it's at least somewhat interesting, even if the game or whatever it is just watching paint dry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something to
You
keep
did
in
it.
mind as you're writing your scripts and manipulating them.
You made it. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you made it work with the +1 on Detroit Become Human. Not particularly an interesting game.
Yeah, I that was my most recent video actually. Game I did not want to talk about whatsoever, and I was able to pull 6 minutes out of it and keep it interesting enough to have retention longer than that part of the video. So it's doable.
By a short cutscene that occurs initially when you boot up the game and is quickly resolved towards the end of the game in a similar manner. This means the total time not actively spent shooting down enemies is likely less than a minute. Yet this intro scene does a solid job of introducing us to the setting and tone of the game. I particularly like the bit of rad attitude that the writing conveys.
Another thing, you're using a lot of the same few words when delivering. So I heard controllers a few times. I've heard of the game 3 or 4 times in the past 25, 30 seconds. And there are ways either to cut those out entirely. Like, I don't think you need to say near the, like, you know, this happens at the start of the game and this also happens at the end of the game. You can just say this happens at the start of the game and this happens at the end. You can just cut that sentence off and save yourself the time of delivering that line and make sure that you're not dulling the use of the word game so that you can save it for later. So I had the opposite problem where I would say the game's full title every time I would talk about it. So it'd be Detroit Become Human, blah, 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 blah. Detroit Become Human, blah, 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 blah. I really like this thing about Detroit Become Human, blah, 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 blah. And so far, you mentioned Blazing Chrome at the start, and I think once more, but instead the rest of it has been the game. And that doesn't really convey an interest in the topic based on what you're saying or what the audience is going to feel from that. So you can say from Blazing Chrome, or I guess you could even say from Chrome. I wouldn't recommend that, but you could use shortened versions of the title. So I've said Detroit instead of Detroit Become Human, or I've said Become Human instead of Detroit Become Human, because by the time we're a minute into the video, they're going to know what we're talking about. So you can kind of play with it and spice it up.
By referring to the robotic enemies as toasters, and by ending with the corny yet catchy lines of, with the story set up, let's talk about kicking some mechanical ass. You gun down enemies by firing in one of 8 primary directions while either running or standing in place. Due to the structure of levels and placement of enemies, you need to switch between these 2 stances frequently in order to adequately avoid losing your limited lives. Bouncing between the 2 stances is engaging as you are forced to make split-second choices between pushing forward, jumping to evade, or holding your ground to take out a mob of enemies before proceeding. These choices are even further compounded on by mixing in the ability to slash down foes directly in front of you and the option to briskly evade while lying down. Blending the different mobility options and alternative slashing attack together create a fluid and calculated combat system that feels gratifying to operate. The design philosophy of the quick and calculated combat system is also reflected within the framework that levels typically follow. Nearly all the stages in Blazing Chrome adhere to the same pattern. First, there is a section of run and gun action, which is then followed by a boss. After clearing the boss, the levels will then switch back to a run and gun section and continue to repeat this pattern while progressively ramping up the scale of the bosses. This limited design pattern for levels never becomes stale since there's a great amount of creativity within these boundaries. For example, each level remains fresh by introducing and alternating between different environmental hazards such as quicksand, falling platforms, climbing bars, and even high-speed motorcycle warfare. These different hazards and structures often continue into the boss encounters, which allow for a large variety in the way that each battle visually looks, as well as enabling them to have a set of diverse attack patterns. However, this structure isn't always followed perfectly. There is one instance of the game diverting from its standard gameplay loop and introducing a visually appealing rail shooting segment. Another layer of variation is the different upgrades and weapons that you acquire. There are 3 different types of weapons to pick up, including a grenade launching gun, a laser firearm.
So I'm going to give you some very not generic advice that is specifically for your particular genre, and that is that you should not make a video where you are reading off the back of a box. And that's what this video is starting to feel like. There are 2 schools of video game reviews. There is the traditional reviewer, and that is your IGN. Those are people who are doing 2 to 3 minute long videos that say this video or this game is this. It covers X, Y, and Z. It has these pros and these cons. I give it a 4 out of 5. That is a traditional review, and you cannot compete in that genre. You
I
are
was gonna.
saying the exact same thing that IGN is going to say, and they've got a lot more reach than you do. The second side is critics. Go ahead, Token.
No, I was actually just gonna say real quick. I was actually gonna say that it sounds like an IGN video.
It's
Yeah.
an IGN video, and you can't compete with that. You really cannot compete with them. They are the largest video by videos watched on YouTube. You cannot compete with IGN. They beat you in every game. They've got their video out 2 weeks before you, and they are going to get thousands of viewers that you will never be able to get. And here's the worst part about doing a video like that. When you do that, you have nothing to compete with. If I go and watch an IGN video and then I come to your video, why would I stay? And the answer is I would not stay because you are doing the same video they do. So the second school of reviewer is the critic. And you will notice that most people who stick around in YouTube are critics. They are people who are biased and they introduce their own bias to those videos. That is when they are saying, it has these problems and I don't like this. And it's okay to say I on YouTube because you are not going to compete with reviewers. You can't do it. You need to become a critic. You have to figure out what your critical point of view is on these videos. And this is something that's rather important to me and Bolt because we are part of the Video Game Critic Association. So it's something that we talk about and we think about. If you're going to do this and you're going to continue to do this, you need to understand that you cannot possibly compete with reviewers. And reviews in and of themselves, unless you get that video game and you get it, let's say 3 months before it's interesting and it's a Nintendo game and people really want to hear about your take on this Nintendo game before anybody else has it, there's nothing you can do. You can't compete. You have to learn to be a critic. You have to.
Absolutely. I was going to say something very similar to that. I don't know that I have too much to add. There was something I was going to say about one thing which would kind of go on the same front is don't be afraid to let sentences breathe. So right now you've had about the same gap between a period that you do from a comma pause. So you're talking in a sentence, comma, and blah 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 period, and blah 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 new sentence, new period. And there's not any point in the video for the audience to be able to catch their breath and stop retaining and stop absorbing all of this information.
Yeah,
And
something. Sorry, just
no,
to interject
no.
here. Something that I picked up on, kind of what Bolt is saying, is that I had the problem where I felt that, or sorry, I made every word feel important. It kind of made my videos elongated, at least my deliveries elongated. Here, it feels like none of your words are important.
Yeah. That's
fair.
a very good way to say it. And I know with Token's videos, it would be interesting because I would watch his videos both at 1 times and 2 times speed to see how they compared. And watching at 2 times felt like I was watching a regular video at 1 time speed because he would put so much emphasis into every single word that every single word, like he said, lost value. And here, because of that current intonation you have where it's very a flat delivery style, I'm gonna guess you're more interesting in person than this video leads on. I'm gonna guess when you're talking, and I say this as somebody who hasn't been interesting in before. I'm not saying that as an insult.
No, it's just very funny the way you put that together. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna guess that when you're talking to like a friend about a game, you're much more animated, you're much more interesting to listen to compared to this video here. And that's an issue that every single person that's ever done a video game review has had. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying it the way I am, because I have been not interesting. My first video was so bad that I remade it 2 years later just to make myself feel better about how bad it was.
Yeah, that
To
might
do
be
it justice.
something that I do.
Yeah.
Can one of you drop? Sorry, just to interrupt. Could one of you drop the link to the VGCA in the YouTube chat?
Yeah.
Someone was asking.
Is it? Which one is it?
I just linked it in the group chat.
Oh, okay. Lit. I always forget what the exact link is. I was right. Okay. Because we had 4 links we were talking about when we made that. We had like games.critics, and I don't remember which one was which. There. but yeah, so it's something that you want to bring yourself to the video, very much so, because this doesn't feel like it's you at all, and I don't know you at all, but this doesn't feel like a video that you made. It feels like a video that was made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly how you can describe it. It is not a video that a person made. It was a video that it exists. If I had a way to describe this so far, I'm not going to lie, I would click off of this video. I'm not interested. I'm not entertained. And that isn't the fault of the content subject. That's a fault of the content itself. And it's not something that can't be fixed. That's the thing.
Yeah, we've all three of us have gone through this.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm being so harsh.
Yeah. And keep in mind that the reason we're harsh is because this is our personal interests, and we've been there, we've done this. I have, I think, 550 game reviews that are hidden and privated on my channel, so nobody can ever see them because I've done this. I've gone through it, and it's something that's definitely difficult, but it's not insurmountable. So we've got another 3 minutes of this video, but I don't think there's anything else that we can learn from it, quite frankly.
I would say jump to the end and see what the ends are like, maybe.
Yep, we can do that, but I don't think we're going to get a whole lot more out of it.
Yeah, I just want to see, because he has a good branding. That's very important. Oh, and a good example would be, so looking at your end card right now, you have a review of Eagle Island. I know that game just came out this past week because I got a copy of it as well. You would be one of the first people to come to the table with that video, with that game, because nobody got early access codes to it. We all got codes the day it came out. So you're on the same level as IGN and as everybody else. And if your video was not interesting, you just lost a huge amount of possible growth from it.
And something I want to take note of, this is something that Bolt told me a while ago, and it was something I kind of fought for a while. You need better titles, just straight up.
Yes. I'm gonna plug my laptop in, so continue. I'll be right back.
Like Eagle Island Review, or what is this game called?
Blazing Chrome Review PC.
Yeah. You definitely need a hook of some kind. Think back to like elementary school, middle school, when they taught you, like, well, not elementary, but like middle school, high school, where they taught you that your title needs to be reflective of the content itself and have like a hook to it that can bring people to it. Not necessarily clickbaity, but kind of clickbaity.
There's a difference between clickbait and a hook. That's very important. I've said that 100 times, and it always sounds like news to somebody when I say it.
Yeah.
Clickbait is something that is not related to the video in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Like, oh my god, I got shot in the stomach. Here's my review of Knack.
Emotional.
Yeah, emotional appeal. And a hook is something where what you are saying with that, whatever that hook is a way to draw the eyes, but also draw people immediately to what your opinion actually may be. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I have a video on Alien Isolation, and that video is titled "The Best Horror Game of All Time" - Alien Isolation Review, because it is the best horror game ever made. And when I say that, I get a lot of comments like, "No, you haven't played Silent Hill 2," and I'm like, "I have. You're wrong." And the fact that I'm saying something that's a little bit controversial, but that I truly believe, and that is interesting enough to immediately get people to say, "Oh, okay, I kind of want to see why he thinks that."
Yeah, you need a reason to click. Beyond and all right, so like the thumbnail for this video is the cover of the video. It's the video game's cover. And I know that you said, well, you know, it's the game asset, but you saw the confusion that we had immediately. I thought this was somebody else's video. And I thought that they had submitted it and that I could go and like walk away for 25 minutes because I wouldn't have anything to say about it because I'd already done it. But no, it was a different video entirely. So the fact that you were using game assets in and of itself is not forgivable necessarily. You can find a unique way to present those game assets or find a different than everybody else thumbnail. And I know that it's kind of hard because you want to have something that's familiar that people who are looking for it immediately identify with. and that they can say, that's the Blazing Chrome review that I want to click on. But it shouldn't be just the same thing. Following that up then with what we were just talking about with Bolt, it all comes together, the title, it all comes together and looks very generic. You have the generic, same as everybody else, game cover as your title, or I'm sorry, as your thumbnail, and then your title is just the name of the game. And it's the type of thing where you look at it and go, I'm not sure what I'm getting here, but I'm sure it's going to be IGN. And if you're trying to be IGN, you can't fight them, you can't beat them, and you're going to fail. And I hate to say it because, again, I like gaming videos and I like thoughtful gaming pieces, and I'm sure we skipped half your video on a thing where we're going through practically every frame. So I'm sure there's something there, but you're not going to get those viewers to stick around. You're just not going to do it. And the way you can is to be a little bit more original in every single way. Have a different thumbnail. That is, even if it's close to the same, crop it in a little bit closer. Whatever you got to do to make it different than the 55,000 other gaming YouTubers who are doing their review today. Change the title.
So something that I've done with my thumbnails a lot lately is I will go and I will take some sort of key art from the game, not specifically the cover art, not the promotional art, some other form of promotional drawing that was made by the developers. Sometimes you'll find the press kits online on the company website.
Kits are huge for thumbnails.
Yeah,
They're
fantastic. Yeah. I'll take something from that and I will make that the focus of my thumbnail, because that is something that no one else is using. So when someone sees that, if it's a zoomed in version of a character or if it's whatever, and I will take that as the base and I will manipulate it around what I need to do. So I looked up Blazing Chrome on Google Images and I found several thumbnails that are just yours. I found a few that are different that are also the same. So there's two different brands of thumbnail for this, it looks like. And if I looked up Blazing Chrome promotional art, I'm not going to find too much because it's a smaller game. But if I find, like, there's a shot of gameplay, you could put a shot of gameplay and find the title PNG online, put that in a separate layer over it, and put review under it. And that's probably better than what you have now for your thumbnail. Or actually, there's one here. Let me see if I can post this in the chat. This would be one that would be fine. This might be a Twitter image. I can't tell. Hold on. Let me see if it'll let me post it. Sorry about the wait. Sometimes. Okay. So like this image, for example, I don't believe is the one that your thumbnail is, but it looks like promotional art of the game that someone took and made their Twitter banner or something. Just to name one example, find this for most games, is that the first piece of promotional art is the thumbnail that everyone goes with. That is going to be inherently very boring as a thumbnail to choose because everyone's going to have it. So choosing the second or the third or something else entirely and making your own is the way to go, especially with a game where the colors are all very orange and the image is very busy. Busier thumbnails are not better. And that's a whole school of thought that we could spend hours on.
Yeah. Generally speaking, you need to assume that your thumbnail is going to be seen at 192 by 108. And if it's not visible and legible at that size, so 1/10, if it's not visible, legible at that size, then you have a bad thumbnail in general. Obviously, there's a lot of places where it does get seen at bigger sizes, but keep in mind that 95% I think of all YouTube traffic now, maybe it's 90%, something stupidly high, is on mobile devices, tablets, smaller screens. They're not on monitors. They're not on televisions. Maybe it's not that high. I guess maybe 60%. Point is, it's definitely over half. And it's
so what I do on that note is I will take any thumbnail that I make, I will put it on my phone, I will hold my phone at arm's length, and if I can see what it is, then it's a good thumbnail. And that's a good way to go about it, I would argue, because you're going to see it similar to the size that it's going to be seen at. Or if you just take it and like make it like if you show, depends on how your phone works. If you show the image, look at it vertically so that it's like crunched and everything instead of being like horizontal, like people should do, you'll see it even smaller. And again, if you can make out everything clearly, that's perfect. I helped Token with a thumbnail just last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long ago it was. That was incredibly minimalistic, and that was the video that did incredibly well for him. It was something that was no one else had done for a Smash Bros thumbnail. It was just there's only 2 colors. It's just like black and then a white shadow or white outline.
Yeah.
And it was just an idea that I had that I said, hold on, let me try this. This could work. And it's one of my favorite thumbnails that I've made. And it was just so simple.
I'm glad that you're so proud of your hundreds of thousands of views on your thumbnails, Paul.
It's not even mine.
On my success.
Yeah. Hey, I'm proud of everybody that succeeds, and it's about damn time he got it. So
yes. So I think that's probably all we can really say about this particular video. But I hope that gives you some help, and I hope that anybody else who's doing gaming reviews seriously considers what the difference is between a reviewer and a critic, and how they can start moving towards that critic side of things. And when you're doing these videos, especially on things that are common subjects like video games, where there's going to be a whole lot of people saying the same stuff as you, and your goal there is to it's to differentiate yourself and get those people to watch you instead of everybody else, or at least to get you to watch them, you and one of them. If you can be that critic and you can say these different things, that's going to be a really big change for your channel. And you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Changing up that thumbnail, changing up the titles, those are huge, really huge. You can't be one in a sea of similar videos.
Yeah. Well, there was one more thing I was going to add to that, which I don't remember exactly what it was. But in general, and this goes to anybody who does like critical gaming content, feel free to reach out to, at least me, I'm sure Moriarty's the same way, reach out to either of us via Discord by tagging us or anything. We especially take a good amount of pride in the gaming critical creators, because that's what we are. So we want to make sure that facet of YouTube personally is the most compelling that it can be.
Yeah.
And we have the expertise to be able to help that compared to a vlogger, because we don't vlog. So we can give you technical advice, but we can give you personal advice with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come to me as well.
Don't tag
I'm
Mini-Me.
not, like,
Never tag Mini-Me. He's saying tag me, don't tag him.
Yeah.
He's too important, and I mean he's hoisting his own petard, okay? No.
But yeah, I like, for example, with Token, I mean, Token and I met through Discord, and I've yelled at him about his videos many times just to help help him get the critical eye that I knew he had.
In the last year, he has put more work into helping me than I put into helping myself my first year.
I've probably put more work into helping you than I have myself this year.
Yeah, well, that's because you're just already independently successful.
Not really.
All right, let's just jump ahead to, I know this one's a short video, and I think it's a grand total of like a minute. 3 minutes. All right. Australian turned his pool into an aquarium and nearly drowned. See, now that is a good hook. I am already interested. And we're starting off, it looks like, with a picture of him drowning. I'm excited to see more.
My name's Jack. I've got a plastic bag that I found in the garbage dump. If I pump enough air through there, it'll...
Obviously, the audio's trash. Yeah? I think we can all say that?
Yeah, the audio could use work. I think it's probably the camera's base microphone picking up everything right now.
I would assume
So what you can do for that is you can get a lav mic. That's the lapel mics that people put on their shirt when they're doing any sort of something where they need their hands, but they're doing like an on location interview or anything of that. They'll have a lav mic. You can hook that up to a recording device that you can leave in your pocket, and you can keep it nice and discreet, and you can sync that up later. Normally what you want to do is you want to do a quick sync test, like a sync 1, 2, clap a couple times, That way, you're seeing your lips on the screen. You can match up the audio that you're saying, and that would help greatly.
Yeah,
That's not going to keep people, especially when you have music that's overbearing on top of that. However, I see that you're tagging it. We do see, yes, he had a lav and it didn't work, but obviously the advice is much more generic than that if you're having the same problem.
Yeah, it's not just aimed entirely at you, just for anybody in general.
Yeah.
And a good solution, it's a bit of an investment, but if the lav isn't working with your camera, then get like a Zoom H1 handy recorder. You can plug it into that.
Yeah.
And while we're here at the beginning, I do want to point out what you did here with this cold open, where you've got your, 5 seconds or so. Yeah, almost exactly 3 seconds, it looks like. That's a really smart thing to do for these kind of personality-driven action vlog things, where you're doing something that actually occurs. You're immediately fulfilling the promise of the title. So you're eliminating that clickbait negative. The clickbait, when you do clickbait, first and foremost, if somebody doesn't get what they want, they have a negative feeling towards you as a creator in your video. But if they do get what they want, then they are positive, even if what they want or what they get isn't great, right? So if you fulfill your promise to your viewer, if you say, hey, I got shot and I died, LOL, in your title, you better get shot and die, or else you're not going to fulfill the promise that you've made.
I know we're on YouTube, but somebody clip that.
So, like, that's just the promise that you're making here. Australian turned his pool into an aquarium, nearly drowned, right? You've got 4 promises there. You need to be Australian, you need to be in a pool, that pool needs to be similar to an aquarium, and you need to nearly drown. And you've basically already fulfilled all 4 of the promises that you made to me in your title in the first 3 seconds. That's a really, really, really strong way to keep people invested in your content. And if you're going to do that with vlogs, if you're going to make these promises, I'm not saying that you have to do that short snippet at the beginning every time, but you do want to make sure that at some point in the first 60 seconds or so, you are moving towards fulfilling the promises that you make. Well,
no, I totally agree with that. That's, again, with a good hook, you need, like, with a good title hook, you need a good intro hook, and if you have those 2 things, you're going to keep people for at least a couple minutes.
You're going to keep them. Your title needs to very closely identify with the first 15 to 30 seconds of your video. That is the golden rule. If your title, whatever your title is, if it very closely identifies with the first 15 to 30 seconds of your video, you're going to see much higher retention, because the number one reason why people click off of a video is they didn't get what they were expecting. When somebody's clicking on your video, when you get that first 1 second, they have an expectation. They know what they want and what they think your video is going to be. And if you fulfill that expectation, if you meet those promises, they will continue to watch up until the point that you no longer do, which is usually, for most people like this, who would be clicking on a video like this, they're looking to be entertained. They're not looking to be informed. They're looking to be entertained. So if you are providing entertainment, they will continue to watch until you're no longer entertaining. And if you maintain and fulfill your promises in that first 15 to 30 seconds, you will keep them until you're no longer entertaining.
Why don't I try making my own aquarium? I still think it's like crawling into a plastic bag in water. Instead of putting it over your head, you're putting it over your whole body. If I like thrash around lots, that's probably your sign to come down there and help me, okay?
I'm not going in the water.
Don't attempt this at home, okay? If you're a beta system, but if you're an alpha system, oh man, go for it. Dude, this is the best idea I've had for a vlog tour. Oh my god. This is safe.
So what happens when the water starts going in?
I don't know. It's there. It's there. I feel it.
Now what? Jump in? I don't think this is a good idea. It's not even connected anymore. Jack, this is...
What?
Okay.
Is it working?
Sure.
Is this a good idea?
No.
Yeah, cameraman, thanks. Yeah, I nearly jumped into the water with a plastic bag over my head. Asshole cameraman. I need a helper for my aquarium experience. If you hold the end and I climb in, I can relax and watch the fish while your nipples get cold from all the air that's being blown out. If I thrash around lots, that's something. No! This is fucking dangerous. Get out. I feel like I'm gonna drown.
See? I told you you're not committing yourself. That's the problem.
Oh, that's like every survival instinct ever to just fucking like. That's so scary. But if we get this right, water coming behind you.
But if we get this right, what?
I don't really know. I don't know. I got to tell you, this is definitely one of those is he going to die kind of videos, isn't it?
I mean, it's on YouTube, so I'm assuming he's not dead.
He's not going to die, but like
Wow.
you kind of watch it here going, but does he die?
Yeah.
At least it's entertaining, right? I don't
Yeah,
really have any
it definitely
problems other than the generic audio stuff, but there's not a whole lot that you could do here with that other than like getting a boom mic, and I don't know.
I don't think you want a boom mic near the pool.
Can you imagine this camera guy who obviously does not care about the welfare of his particular subjects whatsoever? Can you imagine them also doing a boom?
Look, I want to help you, but this is expensive.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Dan. The colors are slightly off, and that's probably because this looks like it was one of two things. Either it was a very bright day and the camera started to shutter it, or it was a cloudy day. Either way, one of those, you could have done that with some color correction, especially with, again, a white balance that you set. That would have helped this out a lot, definitely.
I'm not really sure I have anything to add. I mean, I like your energy. I think you need to do a little bit better of a job of getting to the point. There was a point in the video.
No, I definitely agree there. He could have...
Yeah.
The entire part where he was playing and then he found it wasn't connected, if you had used some very, very tight editing there and then immediately cut to you guys screwing around in the pool, I think that would have been a much more entertaining bit. But it's still entertaining, and it's short enough that I wasn't sitting here going, oh my God, I don't want to be here anymore. So
Yeah. You want to leave your audience wanting more than anything, and that touches the line.
Yeah.
You're good. Alpha! Yeah, you're good. Oh my God, it's working. Oh my God.
Yeah, so see, I'm disappointed you didn't drown, even though you said you were going to. But otherwise, I'm actually pretty entertained by the video. You fulfilled your promises to me, and we ended up watching for the full 3 minutes. So that was good. Altogether, that's fine. You don't have to say you're sorry all the time, Token.
I think there's a part in the video where you... Oh gosh, I'm struggling to find it. Where you... like the opening clip, where it's right here.
Yeah.
You could have just ended the video right there.
Yeah.
I kind of like this whole mystery. Is he going to die? I like the ambiguity. If you just left it right there.
Yep. If you had done that, that probably would have been a much stronger ending. Definitely an ending that was lacking something of some sort. Not entirely sure what it was, but something of some sort altogether. A good, in fact, yeah. See, Giga Gaming Gamer, the end was lacking something.
I don't know if this is a compliment or not. It reminds me of like an early Filthy Frank skit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sort of like where he didn't know where he was going with it yet, but he did it anyway. I feel like you're near that point where like you don't know where you're going with it, but like when you find out what you're going for, what you're aiming for, it'll end up a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially when like both of your friends throughout the entire video are trying to kill you. Basically.
It's just whatever you do, don't put anything in cake. Just don't.
Yes. Altogether, a pretty decent video. I agree with Token. I probably would have cut it a little earlier there. And there's some parts inside that you could have done some stronger editing on. But that's something that'll come with it. I feel like I've spoken to you on the Discord at some point here. And you have not been doing this very long. You have like less than 10 videos or something. Altogether, definitely a worthwhile thing. Is it? That's a fun question. Is it worth it trimming the video in YouTube editor? No. No, it's never worth it.
I don't trust YouTube.
I've done it once because I rendered a video and did not realize till after it published that there was a weird cut in my editing, like the render messed up. So I cut out it was a flat cut of like 15 to 20 seconds. But the thing is, with YouTube's editor, you don't know where it's actually going to cut, and it is the most unwieldy editor you can imagine. You'd be better off with actual film, cutting the film and taping it together.
Yeah, it's actually awful. I would never use it for anything. The other problem is there are some hypothetical problems with the algorithm. You're taking away stuff, right? And generally speaking, YouTube doesn't like you messing with videos after they've gone live. I have a feeling that you don't have millions of views, so it may be that you would see better turnaround by taking something like this down and cutting it now and putting it back up with the hopes that with some strong promotion, you can not only meet but exceed your previous metrics on this video so that you can see higher amounts of watch time, you can see larger amounts of views. And I see some of you also saying Filthy Void, you know, the whole Filthy Frank thing, that's dead. You will never have another one
again.
Never.
100%.
100%. There is no chance of a Filthy Frank or anything like him ever succeeding to those levels ever again.
There's a good podcast by Anything for Views. That was one of the guys in Filthy Frank's friend group. Him and Max Mofo did a podcast together, which I like the podcast. It's called Cold Ones. They just drink beer. It's like Hot Ones, but they drink beer. And they just start talking and drinking a lot of alcohol and getting drunk progressively over the course of the podcast. But they talk about how the things that Max Mofo makes on his main channel are automatically demonetized, even if they're family friendly. Any sort of Filthy Frank-esque content will never be able to reach any similar vein on YouTube ever again. They have made sure it's impossible. And that's what makes Joji, the musician that did Filthy Frank, blowing up and hitting trending even more impressive, that they would let the same guy get back.
In fact, I'll give you a fun fact right now. Every time you say Filthy Frank in chat,
it literally, I just saw that.
Every single time that you've said Filthy Frank in chat, it has been hit as a potentially, I don't know, monitor.
It's held for review.
It's held for review for moderation. Every single time.
We have manually approved every Filthy Frank mention that you have said so far.
And it's not filthy, by the way, because filthy is going through. And it's not Frank, obviously. So Filthy Frank, just by saying that word, I guarantee you this video, when it hits, because it's a stream, when it hits, there's going to be a review that's required for this video. Simply because we said the words Filthy Frank. You can't do certain stuff like that. You can't even have censor beeps in your videos anymore. They are automatically assumed to be F words, like instantly. There's a lot of censorship that you have to be aware of as you're continuing that kind of stuff. So I think the next video should also be fairly short here. And this is the most e-girl Overwatch moments. And I can tell you, yeah, we're starting off with, it looks like some Soviet Womble at the beginning
and some
here.
Times New Roman font. Times
New Roman, Soviet Womble. Thank you for the support. Yeah. At least it's short. Looks like six seconds or so. I would probably get rid of all of it, quite frankly. If you're going to do with anything, like welcome to another video is fine. But the Soviet Womble fits style of montage is something that you can replicate to a certain extent, but you can't take everything that they do, because they are Soviet Womble, they are Fits, they are these big creators. They can get away with this and have people sit there for 7 seconds. You can't until you can.
Quinn's in here, Isaiah. I'm going around for the flank.
Why would you tell him he's in the call?
No, he isn't.
Favorite thing. I have those as my ringtone actually.
What, me screaming?
Yep.
Just me?
Mm-hmm. It's either that or Isaiah going, oh! That.
I have to get like a state of mind. It puts me in a dark place.
Can you do it again?
No.
What up?
I found it, boys. Target spotted.
Target acquired.
Right, Zone A, headed southeast.
You and Zach literally. Wait. Oh, yes, it was. Just
Wait,
what?
Who wants to be
Me. I'll do it.
I did it first. I said first.
Yeah, but I got Prodigy.
Okay.
I got Prodigy.
So I have
we're
no
just
idea
both
what's
paused
going
at
on.
the same time. Yeah, I was about to say. So far, this has been a few moments of the e-girl Overwatch moments, and I don't know which ones are which, or which parts I should be most entertained by. It feels like this is all intro to the video, but we're already a third of the way through.
Yeah, I have legitimately no idea what's going on. Here's the problem with a lot of these type of videos. The montage or funny moments videos have to actually be funny, and they're usually not. This is something that I know a lot of creators get into. And they do. They get into it and they go, oh yeah, I could do that. I could be a Soviet. I could be a Fitz. I could be, you know, what's the one with the helmet, whatever. So like, they all feel like they can get into it and they can do it. And maybe you are funny. And maybe you and your group are hilarious together. The only way you're going to give that to me is if you edit this so ruthlessly. There needs to be, if you are doing a 4-hour recording session, that is a 4-minute video. Almost guaranteed. You need to be cutting out 90, 95, 99% of all of your recordings, because I guarantee you they're not that funny.
A single clip in a montage being not funny or not interesting is enough to turn somebody out of the video entirely, even if it's midway through.
Yes. Because they're all montages, and there's plenty of people who can do that. There's plenty of people who can do funny pieces. And you are not competing against other NewTubers. You are directly competing against Womble and Fitz. Your video might be shown on the same page as a Soviet Womble video. Why would I choose you? And that's what you have to remember with montages and funny moments. Why would I choose you? You better be hilarious. And if you're not, I'm not watching. Just not going to do it. So I think that's probably something that you can take and really consider for anybody who does this style of content. You need to be ruthless with your editing.
I got why am I in queue?
Monetize your video.
Dude, you can't demonetize something that's not monetized, Dab. That's why I use copyrighted music.
Susan's finna have your toes.
What's popping?
Yeah. So you and your friends think you're all hilarious. That's what I'm getting out of this, but I don't see anything else there. I really don't.
I appreciated shouting out Susan, at least.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, you could be very funny, but no one's going to find out. I bet you the retention on this video is bad. Like, really bad.
35 seconds.
30 or 35 seconds at the best.
Yeah.
This is the type of video that most people are going to click off of very fast.
Yeah.
Very,
and
very
Fantastic pointed out in the chat the audio is rough, and I do agree. It's not. This is going to sound harsh, but it's not 2012, 2013 anymore. You know, things like that just don't capture people like they used.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, there's ways that you can get over stuff like bad audio because you can't really force somebody you're playing with to have a good microphone and to be aware of all of this stuff about gain and pop filters and all that. You're gonna be playing with people who have bad audio occasionally, and especially if you're working as a group, right? If you're recording as a group of people, so you and some friends make videos together regularly, you can make efforts to make your audio better. And that is something that you can control there, but with randoms you can't, right? You can add subtitles. That's a very strong way to do it, and that's why you see people like Soviet doing subtitles and adding captions. You can also, and I see it's this Giga Gaming Gamer is saying what I'm saying, but like 30 seconds after I'm saying it.
To be fair, he's saying it at the same time then because of the stream.
Yeah, he's saying it at the same time, except but like, you can add captions, you can clean up audio. There's a really good video about Soviet Womble's captioning. And I can't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's just called Soviet Womble's Subtitles or Soviet Womble's Captions. It's a 2-3-year-old video. It's incredibly useful for anybody who wants to do these kind of videos. You've gotta go look at that kind of stuff and really look at how they do these things, not so much what do they do. Because anybody can add captioning, but when you look at somebody like Soviet, he is a master of captioning. His captioning is incredible, but he also spends 20 hours per video individually keyframing every single word frame by frame. And that's how come he has millions of subscribers and millions of views for every video. He's keyframing it frame by frame.
One thing I want to say, because you gave me a good inspiration to bounce off of, is this is for every video, not just montage videos. If you are in a niche on YouTube, and every one of you is, study the top creators in your niche, not just for what they're doing that right, like not just for like, oh, they have good audio, or oh, they deliver their lines well. Study what kind of videos they choose to make, what kind of things they choose to say, if it's a scripted video or even an unscripted video, what kind of edits they make, not to emulate them, but to learn from them.
To see
there was one
why.
thing.
The question is why, not how.
Yeah. There was one thing that Ant Dude said to me during the NewTubers podcast, or maybe it was after the podcast, that the way he explained what kind of content he just makes gaming, critic, editorial sort of content. The thing he said to me was, I cover very interesting concepts and facets about well-known franchises that I should say, all right, let me start. He says, I cover lesser known aspects of well-known franchises, is the thing he said. Pretty much verbatim. So what he would do is he would say, okay, I chose to talk about Yoshi's Island. Everyone knows Yoshi's Island. Everyone loves Yoshi's Island. Why does no one talk about Yoshi's Island 2 and 3? Why has nobody played them? Why is there no video on YouTube discussing those games compared to the first Yoshi's Island? Or, for example, another video he chose was he did a video on Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, that 7-game series that was on the Wii. Nobody on YouTube has talked about those games. Why? Why do they just exist and no one talked about them? That kind of topic was inherently interesting both to his audience and to a new audience that didn't reach him, that now found him through that video because they were like, oh, I remember seeing those games all the time. Why did nobody talk about them? And I know I chose a video game reviewy sort of aspect there, a creator that does that, but every single creator that makes a video that does well, like an Ant Dude or anybody in that range of subscribers where they're at 100,000 to like 500,000 or more subscribers, pretty much every video they make is inherently interesting in some way because the topic is interesting, not because what they're saying about it is interesting.
It won't hurt, and I did this actually one day. I sat down for an entire afternoon and I told Bolt about it. I took notes on every creator that I watched. You know, Ego Raptor, the completionist. I even Bolt. I took notes on him. A friend of ours, Trav. And I just wrote down the aspects of their content, what they did, why I thought that viewers stuck to their video, and then I kind of tried to work it into my own thing.
Yeah. And that's so important regardless of your genre. I can't think of an example off the top of my head that's not video game reviewy, because I normally give this advice to someone like Token, who's video game reviewy.
Yeah.
But I promise you that every major creator has that sort of thing about them that makes the choice of video itself just as interesting as the thumbnail, as the tags, as the title, as the description. We haven't even talked about tags and description in the stream. That's a whole other mess. Everything that they've done with that video is inherently clickable.
Mm-hmm.
And not every moment in a highlights video has to be a hit.
Yeah, you can
Sometimes
have
it actually
lulls.
Yeah. If you have lulls, they'll actually help your highs, and you want to keep those highs and like spread them out throughout the video.
Someone who does this really well for montages in a post-edit sort of way is when Donkey does his montagey kind of videos. Because he, as far as I know, he dubs most of those lines afterwards. If not, then he is hilarious. But as like for when he'll do a video on Hitman, he'll make up a specific joke like spaghetti punch, where he has a can of spaghetti and he punches you with the spaghetti. That is a gag that he will have as a plot point almost in the video. It is a recurring gag that he'll come back to the spaghetti punch later in the video so that you're laughing, and then he has a moment that's a lull, that's not as super inherently funny, that's not as laugh out loud funny, and then out of nowhere, spaghetti punch! And you start laughing again because it's so absurd and funny or whatever it was. And he was able to spin that into a full career on YouTube doing reviews and everything else too, because like Jack mentioned, he started as a League of Legends creator.
Yep.
Yeah. I think what you want these gameplay videos to be are these a bit more drawn out, like a Donkey video. It's like 5 to 6 minutes, but occasionally he'll have a 10-minute video, and you watch that 10-minute video, and at the end of it, you go, "Oh, it's over already." Like 10 minutes is a long time. You know, that's mid-roll stuff, and he is able to keep the viewer engaged in a way that it almost doesn't make it feel like 10 minutes. And I think with highlights and Overwatch moments, kind of videos like this, that's the kind of stuff you have to be aiming for.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's anything else we can really say about this video, quite frankly.
No, I don't think so. I would say keep the screaming to a minimum and try to find a better avenue for.
Yeah, but that's like a very personal thing. I don't personally like the
subjective.
screaming thing, but I'm also not, you know, a 15-year-old ninja fan. I'm not sitting there going, "Oh man, I can't wait for that next Fortnite kill." So I'm not really the core demographic for a video like this, and that's okay. The rest of it is just generic, basic, good video making stuff. You should be making sure that your co-hosts or your guests are legible to the viewer, whether through subtitles and captioning or whatever, right? Or through good audio taking because you're preparing ahead of time. You need to understand that you are not as funny as you think you are. You're just not, and you have to work at it. There's a reason why stand-up comedian is $1 million job and not just that guy on the street. You're not that funny. So if you're going to do videos that are funny, you have to be really, really funny, and you need to be ruthless with how you edit that video down so that you can make sure that your funny video is actually funny, because it's not.
There's an example. I went to a John Mulaney show. It was a small little local show near where I was. We went there, and both he and Pete Davis, who was his opener, they both told jokes that didn't get a huge laugh, and they were like, all right, I'm going to cut that for the special. Like, that's how they think. And they said that out loud because it was just a very chill sort of venue. They were just cool with being that off the cuff and making a joke about how their joke wasn't funny.
Yeah, smaller venues are like small YouTube when you're starting. A smaller venue for a comedian is where they're going to go and they're going to try out stuff. You'll see them sometimes. If you see a comedian standing there with cue cards, that's a great sign. That means you're going to get all new material that they've never tried anywhere before. That's fantastic. So consider that you are right now in that stage with these type of videos, and take the opportunity to experiment and to learn. But what you've got right now, unfortunately, is not going to get you very far. So the next video we've got coming up here is beautiful, wonderful. It is how colonists got over 1 million acres of land by walking. And apparently it is not anime. That's the note that was given to me, is it is not anime.
Are you having a bad day? Well, it could be worse. You could have lost your entire country to...
When you said, are you having a bad day, I would have zoomed. That's all.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Because if you have a static image like this, you do want to make it as animated as possible if it's acting as your narrator. So I would have done, hey, are you having a bad day? And as soon as you say, are you having a bad day, cut in a little bit. That way it's a little bit more fluid, a little bit more emotive for a pixelized, no mouth avatar. That's all.
To the sons of the Quaker Oats guy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the walking purchase. So this is Pennsylvania. It's an American state with New York to its north, Ohio to its east, and the Third World to its south. It was land given over from the King of England.
That's accurate. That is accurate.
Okay, that was funny. That was great. This appears to have a little bit, I don't know if I want to say extra credits style.
That's kind of where I was.
I'm feeling a little bit of that. History videos are great, and I'll tell you why a history video is fantastic. You have so much material, and you get to decide how it's put in front of somebody. If I could make a channel today, I would make a history channel. There's so much that you can do there. So you're already on the right foot, but I immediately, we're 20 seconds in, and I immediately find myself going, this isn't very dynamic, and I can already tell what's going to happen for the next 4 minutes of this video. Your little character isn't going to move much, and there's going to be a couple of random images behind you. We'll see if I'm right about that. Did you have anything else to say?
No, I was going to say that's exactly why. As soon as I saw and there was no jump cut, even as the head turned right before I paused, I was like, okay, this is going to be a very flat character in the video, which could be very dynamic. It'd be a lot more work, but if you're going to do an avatar, you have to have that work.
Or it has to
like
not
the
do
avatar,
anything.
personally. Yeah.
Either the avatar is going to sit there and do nothing, or it needs to be very heavily animated. We actually know a creator who does animated Let's Plays. So I know that there's a lot of work that goes into animation. I really do. And I know that it's probably not worth it to you, and that's fine. Get rid of the avatar entirely then. Or just have him pop up occasionally with some sort of a highly animated whatever. That's what Ray Croy does. So there's a lot of different things that you can do there in order to keep your avatar and keep it interesting, or just keep the avatar when it needs to be interesting.
If it's any inspiration at all, somebody more important than Ray Croy, the lead editor for Game Theory has his own channel. He's a friend of mine. He does an avatar for his videos, and it's very much like, you know how everything in Game Theory has the same sort of like bouncy, like flowing edits where they're just constantly moving a little bit, even if they're still. He has that for his avatar, and it's so much work. I don't know how he does it without, I mean, the fact that he doesn't sleep probably, but he does it, and he puts that work in, and it shows to a point where like it almost disorients me because I don't like avatars. That's my personal thing. I don't like them.
Yeah.
So, but if you're gonna do them, you have to go all the way.
You really do. Otherwise, it just looks lazy. Like, here's the sad part, right? If you do a mediocre animation that takes just a dozen hours per video, you look lazy. You don't want that.
That's why animation is so hard on YouTube. And the thing about extra credits is the way extra credit does it is they have their avatar with only a few poses for the people, and the other thing is they draw everything behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's screens that they actively draw of whatever historical event or gaming issue may take place.
Right. And we're just talking about the technical aspects of extra credits. I do not encourage you to watch them. They're horrible people. That's my moment of politics there.
At the time, Charles II to William Penn.
Way to just leave that there.
Charles II owed money to his father, William Penn. So William Penn, the son, not the father, was, in proper historical terminology, a total Chad. He did a lot of stuff that I can't really cover in this video, but you just have to take my word for it. What you do have to know is that he was very friendly and respectful to the Native Americans living there. The Delaware. Or the Lenape, but Delaware is easier for me to say.
So one thing you could do is you could make this area on the left where you have all of your action taking place, you could make that a pull-down screen.
Or
as
the
if
whole
it's like a
video.
Yeah, I mean the whole video too, but if you're going to keep the avatar on screen, you could make that like it's a classroom. You could draw up a little thing where you have on screen, like on the little projector screen, whatever you need to have. And that would be like your canvas to work off of instead of having black in the background, because having a blank black screen behind everything just doesn't look good.
I kind of like the idea of starting off with the desk and the pixel avatar presenting and having it kind of zoom out and move over to the side, and then having that screen pull down as Bolt suggested.
Honestly, like I get where you're going with that, but you're trying to save a failing idea, and with this particularly, if this had been my video to make, I would have spent all of this time that you spent animating exclusively on that animated introduction where your avatar was talking, and then I would have scrapped the avatar for the rest of the video and taken all this stuff that you're squeezing into 20% of the screen and made that the entire video space. I would have taken that entire thing and made it one big part of video. So it's much more visually interesting and entertaining, especially considering that the voiceover for this is a little bit lackluster. So you've got a lackluster voiceover and you've got a fairly visually boring video. That's not a good combination.
Yeah, this would be a good PowerPoint you gave in person, more than it is an incredibly compelling video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, you're doing history, which is easy because people are willing to put up with a lot for a good history lesson.
One of the top history channels on YouTube, The Great War, they covered World War I, week by week, and talked about every single aspect of that for 4 straight years for the 100th anniversary, and it was amazing that it happened. Their audio was never that good.
No. I've seen several of their videos. None of it's really that good. It's static images with a couple of moments of them talking, but it's not really that often.
Some slight zoom in and out. Some
it's
screen
nothing
panning.
special, but the topic is interesting, and they keep it very, very, very dynamic informationally. They keep you always finding new things, and by the way, here's this, and don't forget this, we'll come back to this in a few weeks. This is an important moment. Well, that keeps you coming back. With something like this, we've got, again, 20% of the screen is being used for the actual content, and the rest of it is it's an avatar that's not doing anything.
Yeah, I would put almost all of your time in this sort of thing into the research and into the scripting, because the editing is not going to be that much work.
No.
But just make what you're talking about the most compelling thing about it, and make what you're saying, how you're saying it compelling, and everything else will come. You could make a PowerPoint video and it would do well.
They do that. People do that. They make PowerPoint videos and they do really, really well. There are a couple of math creators. I can't remember. I want to say it's like something, right? Mathematics or whatever. millions of subscribers, tens of millions of views, and it is a guy talking in an echoey room, but he's drawing things on his computer. And in that computer, it's literally just math. But as he draws it down and discusses these things, millions of people are willing to watch for 20, 30, 40-minute long videos about this stuff. It is incredibly easy to do history topics, but you can't do it like this. You've got to take the avatar and you've got to make it more dynamic, or you got to get rid of it. If you're going to keep something like that, it's got to be in the first 15 seconds at the most, and you've got to make it more interesting visually while, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Besides, when they eventually get cheated later on, I get to imagine it's these Delawareans. Well, anyway, a couple of signed treaties, land purchases, and planned TV show settings later, Billy eventually kicked the bucket, and control of his lands was left to his two sons, Tom and Tom Pett. Now these two were not Chads, not even close. They completely renounced their father's Quaker beliefs and set out to undo everything he had achieved. Obviously, as you would expect, they weren't going to treat the Delaware with the same degree of respect as their father did. So, in the 1730s, when Pennsylvania was faced with a mass immigration crisis and the two brothers were too deep in debt to deal with it, they were going to need new land. And luckily, they knew where to get some. They met with a variety of Delaware leaders and told them of a treaty they signed with their father back in 1686 promising to sell the Pennsylvanians land. How much land? Well, starting from the Delaware River, a man would walk westward for a day and a half, and wherever he ended up by the time the day and a half was over would be the land the Delaware would have to sell to the Pennsylvanians. This treaty was never signed, and possibly wasn't even made at all, so to help them enforce it, the Penn brothers went to the Confederacy for help. No, the Iroquois Confederacy. The Iroquois Confederacy was a rather massive and expansionist Indian nation around the Great Lakes, and some time ago they had claimed hegemony over the Delaware. So when the Pennsylvanians came up to them and said, "Hey, we're going to buy some of your land, is that alright?" The Iroquois said, "Yes, our land." So, like a Disney Channel star trying to get their own TV show, the Delaware were told to suck it and sign. The Delaware were hoping the Pennsylvanians would cover only a short distance.
So one thing I'll say is that while your delivery is actually pretty good, I like the delivery here. I think everyone in the chat is saying about the same thing. The actual microphone that you're recording into or your sound settings are not that good. So you have the delivery down, so I'm assuming you're probably some kind of educator, if I had to guess. I mean, or you're interested in history and
it's funny.
Compelled enough to talk about it. Yeah, like I like the delivery here.
Yeah.
It's just, I would say, depending on the microphone you have, look into some equalization settings and tutorials and whatnot. If it's Audacity, there's 100 of those. If it's your microphone, see, if you need to come in closer to the mic, just make sure you have a pop filter, like we said earlier. Yeah,
it's a little hollow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe about 40 miles, but the Pennsylvanians were planning on getting much more. Firstly, they had convinced 3 men 10 months prior to train themselves before the run and survey the land. Secondly, they cut through much of the brush and forest to make paths for the runners. Finally, they got a bunch of settlers and convinced them to ferry the runners across.
All of this was good. All of this was really good.
Yeah, that part was
40 miles. But the
that's what
from
I
here, right here.
Much more.
That's exactly what I want. Yeah.
And now we've got a dynamic creator here down in the corner. This is already a better video, and I don't know why we had to go 2 minutes to get to it.
Finally, they got a bunch of settlers and convinced them to ferry the runners across any rivers they may find. So when the day finally came, the 3 runners got together with 3 Indians who agreed to survey the walk. Hi, are you ready to walk? Yes. Walk. Oh, fuck. The Delaware had anticipated the walkers to go at most 40 miles, but by the time the day and a half was up, the last remaining runner had traveled almost twice that distance, which took almost the entirety of the Delaware's land. It doesn't end there, though. Remember how the borders to the purchase were supposed to look like this? Well, after the walk was completed, the Penn brothers argued that the walk didn't mark off the northern border, but rather the height of a triangle of which 2 diagonal— Okay, how the fuck do I describe this? Look, this was the land the Delaware were expecting to give away, and this is the land that the Pennsylvanians actually got. This essentially doubled the amount of land they would have gotten from the walk. After losing all their eastern land, the Delaware had to relocate to Wyoming. No, not that Wyoming, the county of Wyoming. What is it with this video and confusing names? Well, anyway, needless to say, the walking purchase did not improve relations between the colonists and the Delaware, basically turning them from friends into bitter enemies. During the French and Indian War, or the 7 Years' War if you're one of these losers, the Delaware sided with the French, citing the walking purchase as a driving reason. In turn, the walking purchase and its negative effects were used as evidence against the Penn brothers when a political group led by Ben Franklin was petitioning the king to have them removed from power. Ben Franklin was, of course, also busy being Pennsylvania's next Chad. In case you didn't know, Pennsylvania has it written in law that every generation there needs to be exactly one Chad. Currently, it's Randall Monroe. Anyway, it doesn't end there. In 2004, the Delaware Nation, which is now located in Oklahoma, took the issue to court. Interestingly, the court did decide that the purchase was indeed fraudulent, but it fell out of their jurisdiction because the United States wouldn't exist for another 40 years. So the moral of the story is, be wary when making deals with the sons of well-known Quakers, or else you'll lose your entire country to a bunch of cross-country runners. I don't know who that'd be relevant to, but, I mean, it's happened before.
See, this is a funny video. This is a good video, and it's all technical problems. That was entertaining. It was interesting. There was a good video with awful audio and some very poor decisions in the first 2 minutes. And arguably the last minute as well was visually disinteresting. But the first 2 minutes are what killed it. Because I tell you what, the middle of it was very dynamic. It was interesting. It did a lot of good stuff. And there's a lot of humor there. That was good. And it was just so poorly, I don't know, put together. I would seriously, honestly consider taking out that avatar when he's not doing something. That would be my first thing.
It definitely detracts.
Yeah, if he's not actively a part of the scene, he shouldn't be in it at all.
Yeah, like I would watch some extra credits. Well, okay, Moriarty says don't.
Don't watch them. They're horrible people.
Put ad block on and watch one of their extra history videos and get an idea of how they do their history delivery and how they normally it's all drawn usually, but see when they have the avatar on screen and when they don't, and it's usually specifically when they have nothing else they can possibly show, they bring the avatar back and be the focus.
Yeah, that's their B-roll.
Yeah.
And there are other creators who do this kind of stuff that you can definitely look into. I don't have them off the top of my head, but there's a lot of history creators who do. CGP Grey is a fantastic example. If you look at CGP Grey, his avatar shows up maybe 4 times in a random video, and this is a guy who makes thousands of dollars off of Patreon and puts out like 2 videos a year. So he's definitely somebody who's successful in the history/infotainment category. But I would probably... So you've got Avanox here saying grade A under. I would not do anybody who's like Leafy. I wouldn't do any of those kind of creators. They thrived off of a different kind of interaction that I don't think would serve this so well. But with this video, it was a good video. It just, man, that intro sucked.
Oh, go ahead.
Somebody you can look to. Again, not the same scope. It's gaming, but Egoraptor, again, different kind of animation style, but he makes really good use of his avatar in the Sequelitis series mid-video. Like, he's showing the gameplay, and he'll pause and have the avatar come on screen and do like a little flare or something like that to point to something.
Yeah, what I would suggest, so the creator Chest Gammon, I don't know how to pronounce the last word there. He mentioned that he doesn't have a great mic, and that's fine. I mentioned this in the chat. Any of you can make a bad microphone sound pretty decent as long as you have good audio settings attached to them. So if you're recording in Audacity, there's this one video, I'm going to find it after I'm done talking, by I think it was like Snowman Gaming or something like that, or Sea Otter Gamer. Sea Otter Gamer. I've never watched this guy's videos once other than this one. He did a random video that popped up for me once when I was looking up how to do Audacity editing well. And he goes over like normalizing your video, how to use the compressor, which I don't fully recommend using the compressor, but it might work for this video, actually.
I don't think it would, because he's already pretty flat.
Yeah.
You need to have a lot of basses and a lot of highs, and then
Yeah, so you can go. Yeah, so you can go into your audio settings through the. If you're in Audacity, you can go into equalization, and you can actually do this thing called bass boosting, which simply just gives your audio a little bit more bass, or you can treble boost. I was helping another creator who his audio sounded very flat due to having a really bad lav mic for this one onset thing he did. It sounded fine before he got onto the location, but when he got there, it just didn't sound good. So I helped him go through and I gave him a custom version of like an equalization setting that I had just made by playing around with it. You can just play with the lines. It's a little confusing at first, but you'll get the hang of it. And you can like boost your bass and your treble so that you sound a little bit more dynamic.
Well-rounded, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more human.
Yeah. Because it's just the microphone here. I think your delivery is fine.
The delivery's good. The script isn't bad. It's really just the microphone is very tinny. It's very hollow, and it has no warmth. There's nothing there. There's no depth to it whatsoever. It sounds sort of like, imagine a speakerphone. So if you were to be talking over a speakerphone and then you were to, sit that down, that's the kind of effect that's happening here. It's taking out the lows especially. So that's probably a cheaper microphone. There's not a lot you can do about that other than software solutions like bass boosting and working on that kind of stuff. And you really want to play around with it for a bit. Maybe, jump into the Discord, jump into the technical help section and find somebody who does the audio stuff. There's a guy in there, I want to say his name is Zarks with like 55 Z's in his name. He's an audio engineer. He was very helpful for me for a couple of different things that I've done. So there's people in there who can help you, and they can get you to have a better sounding audio. And then you got to figure out how you're going to do this presentation, because the way it is right now, if you had better audio, it wouldn't be such a big problem, but it's just not great. And it could be better. This is a good video. I would recommend this video. I could see this video being shared. This is the type of video that could very easily show up on a recommended screen or being posted on Reddit with, 500 upvotes and 1.5 million views. It's the right kind of content. It's the right kind of subject, and the delivery is good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on the money.
Yeah, it's on the money. I'm on the money. Yeah. I'm always on the money. Well, we've been at this for just over 3 hours. Thank you very much for coming to us for our 7th year.
Yeah, our 7th year doing NewTubers. Except none of us were actually doing NewTubers.
No, but it's 7 years of it existing, and it's 4 years of us being in charge.
I've been around for 2 years, which is crazy. Actually, Giga Gaming Gamer is the person who recommended NewTubers to me.
Well, there you go.
Good. Yeah.
So
he just mentioned that we should do this weekly. I don't know that we can. I don't know that we could do this weekly, but we've sort of done something similar in the past. It's mainly an issue of volunteers, because Moriarty and I and Token are all very busy, and Token just popped in because I asked him to.
Mm-hmm. I should have been writing my video.
So I should have been recording my video.
I literally have my script open. Yeah. So it's not something that I could do weekly for sure.
Yeah.
It's probably not even something I can do monthly, but we do try to do these things occasionally.
Yeah. What I will say is that very often, normally in like small seasonal bursts, we have the NewTubers podcast, where one of us goes through and interviews either a creator that has quote unquote graduated from NewTubers, where they've hit 5,000, 10,000, a higher level of subscribers, to tell us their story through YouTube, or we've talked to other creators that have found much more success on YouTube. For example, I mentioned earlier that we did a podcast where I spoke with Ant Dude, and he's a really smart mind on YouTube, genuinely. His content is very easy to digest, and it's very clearly designed that way. And you really don't notice it when you're watching until you listen to him speak about it. That's a really good one for any gaming or critic kind of creator. We've also interviewed many other creators, including one of the creators of VidMe, the YouTube competitor that no longer exists.
Yeah, I forgot that. Some call me Johnny, Game Dave.
Yep. Game Dave.
Yep.
A lot of there's one that once I remember to edit it is we're going to be talking to Screenwave Media, which is a YouTube MCN network, which brings creators on and charges them money, 20% of their ad revenue, and we discuss whether that's worth doing or not.
Is it a scam? We'll
Yeah.
find out. And
But,
don't be afraid. We asked that exact question.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
why
no,
are you not a scam exactly?
Yeah, we went in and Ian, the rep that we spoke with, is actually my Screenwave rep. I partnered with them to give it a shot, to give you guys a good idea of whether it's worth a shot. And for most of you, no, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
For me, it worked out.
So
But
we've
we'll
got all
discuss
that.
Yeah.
We've got all that on the Reddit. We've got Tier Zoo who came in. We had the Internet Historian who came in and did an AMA. We've had a whole bunch of people who showed up. It was really, really good year for that kind of stuff. I met with the Treesicle guys at Too Many Games. Apparently, they're just about to break 1 million subscribers, and they started on NewTubers 4 years ago. So how cool is that, right? And then we also talked about, the people who have managed to take the very basic advices and parlay that into careers. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, like we said earlier, we should not be doing a super long outro, but
it's a live stream.
Yeah, that's true. We do have more podcasty content that's sort of down this vein. This is something I definitely would like to see us pick back up, but it's a matter of having volunteers that are on a reliable schedule, and most YouTubers don't have a reliable schedule. That's just how it is.
Maybe we need to be like all the other people, like charge money for this stuff, right?
God, no.
So
we make a lot of money, but no.
It's given to you for free. Right? No, instead it's free, and free means it's sporadic. So altogether, I hope that this was helpful for everybody. We're going to have this probably show up on the channel eventually. No guarantees on when that happens, because quite frankly, we don't worry about our YouTube channel that much. It's how come there's, 900 subscribers?
In an ironic twist of fate, we YouTubers don't care about our NewTubers channel.
We really don't. I mean, like, half our videos don't even have tags on them. We don't do good descriptions. Like, we throw
do as we
away
say,
everything.
not as we do.
We throw away absolutely everything that we tell other people to do, and we do none of it, and we're still at 1,000 subs.
We just need a channel manager. That's what we need.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not. Don't look at the channel for anything like that.
Just look at the content inside, nothing else.
Yeah. We mostly focus on like bringing people from Discord and bringing them from Reddit and having them see the stuff. We definitely don't expect anybody to find us through YouTube. So altogether, there you go, guys. I hope this was very, very helpful. My name was Moriarty. I am part of Crymore Gaming, so I'm out there. You can find me on the Discord. I am at Moriarty. What is it? #0001.
That's a hashtag.
And that is easy to find me. So at Moriarty, #0001. You've also got Token here.
Hi, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It was actually a lot of fun. Of course, Token Geek here on YouTube and Twitter, Token Geek 21. That is, of course, an at Token Geek.
And then you've got me. I am the Golden Bolt. You can find me on youtube.com/thegoldenbolt, twitter.com/thegoldenbolt, and other places as well. Feel free to do that if you'd like.
Obviously, follow NewTubers on all of the places. We are always NewTubers, Real NewTubers, or NewTubers Official.
Just not YouTube.
No, we used to have youtube.com/NewTubers, and they took it away.
God damn it, Susan.
I didn't even know they could. Here's the thing. There is no /NewTubers. It was us. So now we're NewTubers Fetch. I don't even know what to do there. Like...
Yep.
One day, when we're big, important people, I'm going to be like, look, we switched over to DLive because you took our shortcode away. Do you remember DLive?
No.
No?
No.
That's the crypto blockchain streaming thing
my!
that
was that the-
PewDiePie's on.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's which one was there's the other one, the YouTube BitChute or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, they're no good. They're no good. Also, jump onto the Discord if you're new here. That's discord.gg/NewTubers. And we've got almost 5,000 people on there. Lots of people.
Don't be intimidated by that. There's a lot of people, but not many of them actually talk in most chats I've been on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there are 60 different rooms, so they do get spread out pretty evenly.
There's a place for you to chat. Don't
Yeah.
be intimidated by the amount of people there because it's never that super. Several people are typing.
Yes. And obviously, reddit.com/NewTubers Espanol /creator/creator services and /new streamers, which we just opened new streamers and NewTubers Espanol 2 days ago, yesterday. Go subscribe to those. We're going to be building them up over the next years or two, and hopefully we'll see something cool happening there. And other than that, I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening.
Well, all right.